Ooh, yeah.
Welcome to Cinekuest Video Game Movie Edition. We are I think this is the second to last one that we're going to be doing, and this is where we talk about Silent Hill.
Give you a brief glimpse into the bullshit.
I don't know too much about Silent Hill. Like I pretty much say this for every fucking movie that we talk about that has to do with video games.
But this one is a bit more in your wheelhouse, I think, Ray.
No.
I mean, as far as the horror elements, the psychological bullshit.
Well, that's what you all. I mean, everyone says that, but it's just. Still,
I'm not saying
game.
that you know anything about it. I just mean that this is the kind of story that you probably.
No, that's what Ray's disagreeing with, actually. Though
I mean, I don't.
Oh my God.
I say this even for just because the genre horror is attached to something.
Sure.
Doesn't mean I necessarily like it.
No.
It's more of a certain media that I do not like, or I prefer live action stuff.
A lot of the influences
I'm not too fond of horror video games, horror cartoons, horror
cartoons,
comic books.
Really?
Think of
I mean, there's a Silent Hill comic book, a few of them, and they're pretty fucking good, actually.
Again, it's just not my thing. This is not what I prefer. I prefer live action horror.
Okay.
Not that I don't appreciate it. It's just not something I go to.
Sure, that's that. So I was talking about in terms of appreciation, a lot of the influences
I can appreciate it for what it is.
That these guys use, you're familiar with.
Right, and again, let's introduce everyone because I was just about to forget doing that. My name is Ray, one of your hosts, and then another host beside me.
'Tis I, the muse of MoQuest.
Is that what you're going with?
And in the Pacific,
yes,
the Pacific Northwest
Before I
studios.
introduce myself, I probably need to go through some quick meditation sessions. Text my therapist. I don't know. It's gonna be a rough evening. This is Daniel here.
It's gonna be a really long journal entry tonight.
Empty feeling Northwest Coast Studios.
Yes, books gone.
It's looking
My books are gone.
very, very sad over there.
I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and this is pairing with the 2006 movie.
Right.
Of Silent Hill, but Roland's going to give us some information regarding the video games and such, and he's keeping it tight. Real tight.
Yeah, real tight.
Which really sucks because I no such thing.
Like a duck.
Shatterproof, rock hard information. No, I was telling Ray before that, and I've told you as well. This is one of my top favorite video game series. My brother and I played this shit when we were little. I know I had said before.
This is why I spent 2 hours watching this crappy movie, just because you have good memories of the series.
Yes.
That's selfish.
Yes, it is. This isn't for you guys. This is for me. I'm sorry. Maybe I should. Disclaimer. I don't do this for you. I do this for me. Okay.
Speaking of watching this goddamn movie, Ray. So Roland hit me up. He's like, "Hey, have you ever watched the movie yet?" And I was like, "Well, I'm doing it now." And he's like, "Without me?" And I was like, "This little bitch." And so I responded. I was like, "Well, you viewed The Watch without me."
So
when I previously brought up twice in our main chat, "Hey, I'm waiting to watch that with you, Roland."
I don't remember that.
He forgot that it was posted.
Yeah. Damn it. Okay.
Did he forget that it was posted and then he just watched it without you?
No, yes.
He watched it without me after he was like, "Was it on there?" And we're like, "Yeah, dude."
I forgot that
proceeded and watched it, and then
that.
It's funny. It's funny when you all said that.
Check it out, man. Vines. And I'm like, "You little bitch." And then he cries about not watching a movie for the 50th time.
So when I sent you that message,
watch something new together.
When I sent you that message, you were and you were watching it. I was like, I was at the drive-through at Churches. I was like, without me. I wasn't even home, so
it wasn't gonna be shorter, man. I was only
he's getting his mediocre ass chicken strips.
Yeah, it was very medium.
Medium. I said mediocre.
No.
Chicken strips.
I'm saying it's very, very medium chicken strips.
But Daniel, when I saw that little thread going on about the watch and shit, I was like, I even know the watch is on there. And I wasn't. I didn't even ask for it.
I tried searching for it before, and I didn't go through TV series. I only went through movies. And
but it would just be in the recently added if you just go up.
I didn't. It wasn't on on there when I looked. So.
Oh yeah, clearly it just wasn't on Roland stuff. Even though it was on ours.
I don't know.
It's a conspiracy.
I don't know.
I thought Jamie had something to do with it, right?
Probably.
Let me lock out the watch for Roland.
Yeah, that sounds like Jamie. It does. It does. If that was the thing or possible. Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. So, see, I was supposed to be talking about the game. It hasn't happened
You
yet.
didn't even start, man.
Exactly. Remember I said try to keep it a tight 20 minutes.
But
and then,
no. You have
video
to
game intro.
So you're gonna start the timer when
It wasn't evil. I kept trying to bring you back to the goddamn storyline.
Yeah.
And you're like trailing off. I was like, so what is this movie about? Like, what is this game about? Like, what are these characters doing? Because you're like,
as much. Hold on.
I just want to make this official, accurate.
Ah, bitch. You bitch. You start the timer.
All right. If you can see that, it's starting right now.
This?
I'm 1 second, Ray. I'm gonna get a.
Oh, cool.
Get one on myself.
You're gonna triangulate. You're gonna synchronize.
We are synchronized.
Your bullshit meters.
Well,
yes.
I mean, so Ray, 3, 2, 1 ish.
Go.
Roland, go.
1, 2, 3. Okay. So, like I was telling you before, I will try to keep this as brief as possible. As much as I was rambling with Resident Evil before, the thing about Silent Hill is there's like 10 times as much fucking information as opposed to Resident Evil. And that's because Resident Evil has like at least twice as many games. Silent Hill has about, it has 8 like main series games and about 5 or 6 side offshoots or whatever, which we don't need to mention because they all fucking basically suck. And that includes the Silent Hill HD collection, which was a remake of the 2nd and 3rd games because they really fucked those up. They're just really shitty ports. But anyways, so that'll be something for me to work on later because like literally I could talk about that shit for hours and there's just so much fucking information. The thing about Silent Hill is that it has a lot of, the original creators were huge fans, or rather very interested in psychological horror, and specifically in, what is it? I had it right here. They were mostly interested, I forgot the director's name. I got it over here somewhere, but he used a lot of influences from Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. So like the psychoanalytic process, I forget. I haven't.
Side note: director of the movie?
No. I'm talking about the game.
Okay.
I'm talking about the games. The movies. That's like it's got nothing to do with that. That'll be
side note, and I'll take off like 3 seconds from this role, like 5 now. I'm curious on how that ties together, but send me some shit about it later.
Yeah,
like the Jungian, Freudian influences.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
They use.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead, man.
So they use they do mention particularly Jungian archetypes, and Freudian the psychoanalytic method or whatever theory. Even though as you know, Daniel, the psychoanalytic method is bullshit, and it was later just proven it was a cool framework to have, and that's where it's interesting, and they're using these particular elements to basically create a game, and that was the other thing as well. The guys that created the Silent Hill series, they were more like artists than they were sort of just like video game developers, in that. A video game dev is like, oh, let's make a game and like let's like Mario or whatever, where you have a specific goal in mind and like here are the gameplay elements. Like here you jump on the fucking turtle's head and it goes boop boop or whatever. Like this is completely different. In this one, they were like telling this huge fucking overarching story, and it has a lot to do with the unconscious influences and or just manifestation, actually flat out manifestation, which is what anybody who has looked at Silent Hill will understand. Silent Hill personifies sort of the the unconscious desire, unconscious intentions, just things that you wouldn't necessarily expect in most games. Anyways, I'll go into that here in a few minutes. I wanted to just read some of the Wikipedia clips here before I pull out my notes bullshit. So, Silent Hill is a Japanese horror media franchise centered on a series of survival horror video games created by Keiichiro Toyama, developed and published by Konami, which is the same guys that do Castlevania, and who cares what else? Yeah, they've got.
That's
some
why
things.
I know that name.
Right. The first 4 video games in this series, Silent Hill, Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3, and 4, were developed by the internal group, and the name of that group was Team Silent. It's a staff within Konami. The other later 6 games, that is to say, Silent Hill Origins, Homecoming, Shattered Memories, Downpour, Book of Memories, and PT, which you may know a little bit about that. I don't know if you'd heard about
PT.
Right.
They did PT. Holy shit, man. I've watched gameplay of PT, and this one kind of gets you rolling.
Really
I'm going to take like 20 seconds off, but like, holy shit. PT is terrifying.
Yes, it was. Unfortunately, it was canceled. And
There's no port for PC, yeah. Like, you have to like work to get it.
Right, and it's been patched out so that you have to. They'll sell PS3 and I think PS4 consoles that have it downloaded, because you can't get it any other way now. I think Konami made it so that I don't think that it deletes itself necessarily, but you can't find it anywhere anymore, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might have been sort of ripped to PC, and you might be able to download it as like a mod.
You can. That's how I saw the gameplay I checked out.
So this was a game that
PT is fucking scary.
It starred what the fuck is the guy's name from The Walking Dead, man? You met him when you went to that convention.
Oh, Norman Reedus?
Right. Norman Reedus starred in that game. He was the main character, and it was directed by Guillermo del Toro, who himself was a huge fan of the Silent Hill series. And the original director from Silent Hill, the games. It got canceled because Konami as a company, they're fucking morons. They're not really a games company, even though they've got titles like fucking Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden and like Silent Hill. They're mostly like a pinball pachinko company. Like they do fucking gambling shit. Like there's a Silent Hill like pinball game or like a slots game or some shit over in Japan, and
so they specialize more in like
in like arcade gambling arcades or whatever, and like they do
coin
side
machines.
Yeah, exactly. They don't necessarily give 2 shits about their fucking game IPs, even though like they're some of the most.
Even Mega Man, like
that's Capcom, and also no, Capcom doesn't give a shit about that either, because the original producer from Capcom, from Mega Man left and made another his own little series on the side. The main creator of Castlevania.
It wasn't Contra Konami?
Yes, they were. Also that. Contra's gone to absolute shit. Contra's gone to shit as well.
Got one right.
No, again, like they have some of the best and most classic fucking video game characters, and these guys are just they treat them like shit. Like it's like, oh wow, you have all that untapped resource and like you piss it away with your fucking slot machines. Like you guys are fucking morons. But like apparently they're successful enough on their own that every so often they'll come back and be like, let's make another game, but they usually suck. You bring up or rather when I was bringing up Castlevania, when you brought up Mega Man, Daniel, and I said like how Capcom sort of let that series go to shit, their creative director left and made his own sort of company, in which case he made a game called, it was basically the same thing as a Mega Man clone called Mighty Number 9, which was a kind of not too great. I think it was sort of liked, but the same thing happened with the director of, or rather one of the creators of Castlevania. He left and made his own company and made basically a Castlevania clone, or rather a spiritual successor called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which that one is it's fairly well received. Again, same thing though, like just weird.
I'm just laughing at the fucking name.
Yeah, it's very, very goth. I know, Ray.
No, it sounds very
B-movie
metal,
title-y.
like some kind of prog metal.
Yeah.
Bands.
So, anyways, leaving off on that, those games that I'd mentioned before, when I was leaving off on talking about PT, and PT is just like it was sort of the code name they made for it. It wasn't actually called Silent Hills. It's called PT stands for Playable Teaser. You only found out it was a Silent Hill game when like Norman Reedus' character like pans out a little and he looks and he sees the fucking sign in there that says Silent Hills, and you're like, oh fuck. But the demo itself thing was called PT.
So the same place?
Yeah.
But I thought it was called Silent Hill.
It is.
Silent Hills.
It is. But that's what they fucking did. So I'm just like, okay.
So there was an S at the end of that?
Yeah.
They added an S?
So I guess that just means there's more than one Silent Hill now, or there. I forget. I don't know.
Or are you just covering for your mistake?
No, bitch. I don't know. I just said, I'm not sure. I forgot. It's because it's been a while.
Argument. I got you.
Bitch, please. You're talking about PS3 Garbargo, okay? Which, ugh. Okay, so those games were developed by other developers.
Dutch for greatness.
Anyways, those weren't made by Team Silent. Those were taken by other companies, and so most of them kind of like they didn't follow the same sort of overarching themes that the first four Silent Hill games follow. They just sort of went on their own and just sort of threw the Silent Hill location in there, with the exception of I think it was called Silent Hill Downpour, or is it Shattered Memories, which was actually a remake, sort of a soft reboot of the first Silent Hill game for the Wii. I didn't care for it, but apparently it was they didn't hate it or whatever. The Silent Hill franchise is expanded to include various print pieces, 2 feature films, and a spin-off video games. I think the most current thing is the game is called Dead by Daylight, where you can play as Pinhead. I knew I was gonna make that fucking mistake at some point. Pyramid Head, and Heather Mason,
Dead
which is
by Daylight.
Yeah, so it's a game where you play as.
It's on my wish list on Steam. It looks dope.
You play as like one of the monsters, and then other people play as the victims, and like they're supposed to survive and escape.
Sounds like Dead by Dawn.
Is it? Whatever. One of those. I don't care. My point was like that is the last thing that a game series that's over 20 years old has still has a lot of like little influences and shout outs, even though fucking Konami might not necessarily give it the love it deserves. It still gets around. It's still like very highly played everywhere. There's still tons of fucking speed runs. You like every usual YouTube and Twitch influencer that plays any kinds of horror games has gone through Silent Hill at some point.
Are they producers of such movies as Daylight of the Dead or Light Just Before the Dead?
Anyways, so
Darkness of the Dead.
Silent Hill is set in the series' eponymous fictional American town. This series is heavily influenced by the literary genre of psychological horror, with its player characters being mostly everymen, which I think I told you a little bit about that in I forget if it was the last episode or what, where
Doom?
Right, yes.
Yeah, it's just
a character.
You're
You're just a normie that's dropped into this ridiculous ass situation. Unlike Resident Evil, where you're given a shitload of guns and you can just, you're a specialist or whatever in all the Silent
Resident
Hill
Evil,
games.
You're on a mission.
Right. And in Silent Hill, Silent Hill came out before Resident Evil, not too long before. And it sort of...
you think they were kind of like... I always used to get them mixed up, Silent Hill and Resident Evil.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're the same kind of game.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is that you think that they were developed, since they were developing at the same time, one of them just tried to rush themselves out of the gate first.
If I was going to believe that, I'd probably say that of Resident Evil, because the thing about Silent Hill is that they pretty much had for some reason or another, Konami was feeling generous and they just let them do whatever the fuck they wanted. They had a really high budget and like a lot of time to just sort of experiment. And so,
Are you talking about them? Or are you talking about Resident Evil?
no, I'm talking about Silent Hill.
Okay.
Yeah. They, what was it? I was just looking at it earlier here. It doesn't matter. So as of, I don't know if I read this, but as of 2013, the game sold over 8.4 million copies worldwide. I assume that's a bit. I mean, considering like they haven't actually released a game in the series, and
I would assume there would have been like a lot more than that. Personally,
well, like they haven't released a game in the series in almost 10 years. The last was Downpour, not including any of these, the HD collection, which is, again, that's just Silent Hill 2 and 3 redone, or ported, excuse me. There's nothing new about those. And they're dog shit as well. I don't recall hearing anything about Silent Hill like after the movie. Like, right.
I just heard nothing
the movie
about it.
kind of came around its peak. Which, if I'm not mistaken, the movie was 2006. Six. So after that was Silent Hill Origins, Silent Hill Homecoming, Shattered Memories, and Downpour. Origins was supposed to be a prequel to the first one that actually explains essentially what the movie goes through, because that isn't explained in the first 4 titles. It doesn't go that far back. Like, you're sort of just dropped in there. Into this world, and you figure things out as you go along, and you're exposed to the different characters and the different factions in the area with their own particular goals that are explained to you as you go along. But I think the last sort of decent one was Shattered Memories, because the last one in 2012 was Downpour. Which you play as an ex-convict. He had an interesting story, but like the character designs were stupid. Like the environments were just very bland textures. They like, it didn't have the perspective, the angled shots that a lot of the first Silent Hill games are known for, and the movie itself as well. That you were telling me before, Daniel, has very very interesting shots that they use for some of their scenes.
Well, what about starting off in the first one? Like,
yeah,
what approach are they taking on that one?
So I guess I'll go in through the influences as far as this goes, because that'd probably be a better explanation to me, just than me talking about how it looks, because I can't necessarily describe it that well. The games are known to have drawn influences from media which, I've told you this before over the years, Jacob's Ladder, Phantoms, Session 9, Alien, Stephen King's The Mist, and The Art of Francis Bacon, largely through cultivating technique of inducing fear.
Oh, the author of The Tempest and...
inducing fear through more psychological levels of perception. Many sequences and tropes from these films share identical concepts. The films and television series of American filmmaker David Lynch are also acknowledged to have influenced Team Silent during the initial game's production, especially that of Silent Hill 2. Another major influence is Japanese horror, with comparisons made to classical Japanese Noh theater and early 20th century fiction writers such as the Japanese Edogawa Rampo, which I believe is like a fiction mystery genre. The town of Silent Hill is a small rural American town imagined by the creative team. It was based on Western literature and films, as well as on depictions of American towns in European and Russian culture. The version of the town from the film adaptations of the first and third games is loosely based. The version of the town from the film adaptations. Sorry, I got a little confused there because I forget how the film lifts elements of specific games as opposed to just the entire series itself. Specifically, in this case,
because they could have only lifted from the first 4 games because those are the only ones that came out prior to the movie.
Specifically, they only took influences from the second and the third titles.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, they had the options of like the first 4 since they had already come out with the first 4 prior to the movie coming out.
So, where did I leave off? Right, so they're loosely based on the central Pennsylvania town of Centralia. The film itself, actually, so I was reading that the other the movie is based on Centralia, which was like a town in Pennsylvania that was abandoned in, I forget if it was the 70s or the 80s or so. It was a mining town. And at one point, a landfill caught fire and it leaked into the mines and basically set it all ablaze under the town. And
Nice.
I think they were saying that there was enough coal
Was that
there.
God's way of saying, like,
Get the fuck out of here.
don't mind the earth? Like,
Yeah.
don't burn fossil fuels? Like,
Leave the dinosaurs alone. So they said that there was enough coal in there for it to burn for the next 500 years or something like that. So everybody had to, leave the town.
But this is an actual place.
Yeah. You can find it on YouTube. People that have visited there. They actually have vents, steel vent piping set up to help shunt out some of the smoke and the steam because it still burns under there. The government bought out basically everyone from the town to get them to leave. There's like 10 people left living there or something like that. I want to say. I don't quite remember exactly.
Are they witch hunters too?
I was gonna say, are they like deformed in some way? Because that seems ripe for like a hills have eyes kind of thing.
It's an interesting place. I'll say that. It's pretty fucked up too, though. Like that it's constantly burning. But the game based Silent Hill itself on Cushing, Maine, and I don't know how the hell to pronounce this. Snoqualmie, Washington. Those are the two places that the game uses Silent Hill.
Oh man, that makes sense, man. All those spooky trees around there. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Snoqualmie, man. Yeah, dude.
No shit.
Fucking evergreens and fucking mountains all over the fucking place.
The Team Silent guys, when they designed the first few games, they were trying to make everything look like American, but they'd never been to America or like met Americans or necessarily seen them. They just sort of got some pictures and tried to make these guys look like a blonde, America guy. And it sort of worked out for the most part. I guess the most iconic game in the series would be the second one, Silent Hill 2, for the most part. Silent Hill 1 is still, the best in this series in that it establishes like the sort of the overall narrative, because there is a sort of a main story through Silent Hill and its characters. And then there's sort of like some branching stories, or not even branching, they're like supplemental stories that sort of tie the main arc together. And then after the fourth title, the rest are just sort of like those ones would be branching, like one-offers.
Those are just like one-off, yeah.
Yeah.
So the games themselves, do they continue on from 1 to 4?
No. It's
just individual stories.
So 1 and 3 are the main story. 2 is a supplemental story, and so is 4. To 1 and 3's sort of mythos that is established. Let me see. Oh, cool. Right. So where I left off, the main religion in the game is a doomsday cult known as the Order. Their religion is based on various characteristics of different religion, such as the origins of Christianity, Aztec rituals, Shinto shrines, Japanese folklore. The names of the gods in the organization's religion were conceived by Hiroyuki Owaku. But they have Aztec and Mayan motifs. They use some pronunciations from them for reference. Certain religious items appearing in the series were conceived by the team. And for some others, various religions were used as a basis. The evil spirit-dispelling substance called the Aglaophotis. It's just some demon juice demon sealing juice that they use in the first game to stop Samael, which was it's their version of God.
Yeah, he was the Forsaken from. Yeah, he got fucking blasted by.
Yeah, it's Satan. It's Satan. But they call him God in this. That's what the cult refers to him as. He's Samael, but they call him God. Or rather, that is their corrupted form.
So their God is Satan, technically.
Right. Yes. No. Literally.
Literally.
That's what it is.
He walks among them.
Yes and no. So the thing is, like, the point of the
dances.
the point of the order is that they're trying to bring him back. Their god, or rather, their original form of their god, was born as a person, and she birthed the lower gods that are in their mythos, and started to create a paradise for them. But she died before she could. Her power ran out, and she died. And they're just trying to resurrect her or bring her back in another host. So that's where they sort of tie Alessa from the movie into the game. The movie script and the game script they're opposites. You know how in the movie, this order is a witch burning cult or whatever. In the game, they're actually devil worshippers, sorts of things. Instead of
that would have been cool.
So it was interesting, but at the same time, yeah, very confusing to anybody that actually knew the thing about.
I was hoping for that
series.
Twist too, but
so yeah, in the movie,
that would have been like Children of the Corn. All those kids.
Yeah, because you had the Borg Queen be like, well, no, actually, I love Lucifer.
So Alessa is still a victim in the Silent Hill series, but Dahlia Gillespie in the movie, who herself is portrayed as like a tragic figure, in the game, she's the head of the cult. She's total bitch. She is her daughter is Alessa, and they try to use her in a ritual to summon, so that she can serve as a host for Samael, which turns out to be an incubus. So it's a demon that she birthed, and you fight that as a boss at the end of the game. The main character, Harry Mason, goes and some of the story is again similar in the movie. What's her name? Sharon, the daughter.
The daughter is Sharon, yes.
Right. So the good version of Alessa, that is to say Sharon, in the movie is adopted, and they take her back to Silent Hill. That's much in the same as the game. Harry Mason instead is the father instead of the woman from the movie.
Right.
And the daughter is I believe her name is Cheryl, but she's also adopted. Like the father.
You're talking about the game,
right? The game. The father, I think the mother passes away. They're unable to conceive. Yes, it is. It is a little confusing because they use the same
We're trying to make sure that
names.
we are to let everyone know that we are still talking about the game officially.
Yeah, we're still talking about the game, but I'm sort of paralleling it a little here because I wanted to mention how this sort of ties through the movie and how they sort of twist these particular elements from the game.
Sure.
So what did they mention? They use some names from the Jewish mysticism, from the Kabbalah. There's the talisman, the seal of Metatron, that obviously fucking references the Metatron itself.
No. References Megatron, dude.
Damn it. Is that where the part where we do the transformer noise or whatever? Is that trademarked? Can we use that clip, that soundbite? No?
We kind of just use it and hope for the best.
There it is.
Okay, copyright strike already.
So that's
See, slid around that shit.
Fucking
there's
YouTube.
No way that sounded accurate.
All you need is like the first 5 seconds and we're fucked. So yeah, that is a really fucking hackneyed job of going through the sort of the slightish development and influences for Silent Hill. Another really big, really important.
I thought you said you were done.
Another really, really important thing about Silent Hill was the fucking audio engineering, which was another thing that hadn't really necessarily been utilized in this particular way. The sound director was a guy named Akira Yamaoka, who himself was a musician. Like he wasn't necessarily a sound engineer for video games.
Which I did find interesting about this movie, that the same guy who did the sound design for the video games sound design for the movie and composition as well.
Right. Yes. And I
dope.
believe he still plays. Like he's very talented. But so the installments in the Silent Hill series feature various sound effects. Some of them
Roland, composers don't have to play though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Other
Like,
people
they
have to
don't.
do it.
I know, but this guy is awesome. Okay. Jesus Christ. You fucking have to interrupt me for that.
I think he
shit.
picks up his guitar a few times.
the fuck up.
There have been so many minor interruptions in your so far like 28-minute long rant, Roland.
Yeah. I know. There have been. Fuck you guys.
So few.
So few. So that's enough. Okay. It's more than enough. You're losing me seconds. Some of the sounds are ambient sounds, as well as they actually use silence, which if only I could have that here. The sound effects have been added with the intent of inducing certain emotions and feelings in the player, such as urgency, displeasure, sense of disturbance of the psyche. According to the series' former sound director, again, Akira Yamaoka, atmosphere is an emphasized element of the series. If which had not been given importance, the series production would have been impossible. Because for anyone that's played the Silent Hill series, they understand that the audio is just super great for this shit. It's environmental as fuck. It's just like one of the best ways to play Silent Hill is the middle of the night with all the lights off, quiet as fuck. So all you hear are all the random ass dong dong noises coming from the fucking game, which are meant to sort of simulate.
If I may interject,
you may. This time.
As I was watching the movie, I did notice that the sound design was really nice. If you were wearing some nice headphones and you could hear.
I was listening to my fucking just regular PC setup, and I could still go, oh, over there, over here. Oh, like there was some nice, like even just on crappy-ish, like okay, like mid-range speakers. It's like, wow, I could tell that it's behind her.
Yeah,
like,
the game does a lot of that, and it's one of the best fucking things about it. My brother and I used to play that shit just for that experience, that feeling. Again, like 2 or 3 in the fucking morning, all the lights are off, it's quiet as fuck. Not trying to shit our pants or anything like that. It's just it sounds so fucking cool. Like it's just such a goddamn
cool. Is that something
experience.
that you dig about Phasmophobia as well, though? Just
Absolutely.
to plug that game real quick, just because it's cool. Because like you hear like a doorknob being fucked with, and it's like, wait. That was upstairs.
Because a lot of games don't do that kind of don't mess with that kind of shit. It's just like a standard soundtrack or just like FX or whatever of whatever the fuck is going on. They don't use a lot of like environmental ambience.
I would say the equivalent to this game audio wise is like Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
God damn it! Swear to fuck.
You can really hear the wheels grinding on the rails.
It has industrial down tempo music to rock music.
Good old rock and roll.
Although in the later games, I think
the Beatles music
in Downpour, I think they get Jonathan Davis to write some songs.
The most gothiest of the goth.
Are you?
It sucked. It sucked so bad.
So
so bad. I'm like,
game series is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm done now.
Yeah. So those were the games that
Let's
were
stop
not
talking
made.
about the game now.
Those are the games not made by Team Silent.
I'm
Okay?
flaccid.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just tuck it back in, Ray. Just pack it up. You're done. So yeah, I'd mentioned there were the spinoffs to this. You don't need to really go into that. There's been comic books. There's two movies, novels. There is a slot machine game. There's just who cares? It's not.
Yeah,
important.
if you want Roland and Daniel to get more in depth into this video game series, plus
it's
leave a comment down below if you.
It's not going to be about Silent Hill though. I as soon as I hear about the Jonathan Davis connection, I'm done. Like,
if you want to hear Roland in a talking head video, talking all about the series, leave a comment below and give a thumbs up.
Some other shit with maybe.
And Danny can put that thumb up his ass.
That was highly inappropriate.
I was talking about building something beautiful with you. And
highly
the response I get.
You're crapping on my dreams. That's you're starting it with a foundation.
32 minutes and 46 seconds are up.
I know,
bitch. And we'll take off the 7 minutes for comments to what Ray and I brought up, interjection.
But I'm almost not done.
Not even a word, but
I'm almost not done yet. I'll get there. So I wanted to get to the recurrent elements of the game, which obviously is Silent Hill itself. Like I'd mentioned to you before.
Yeah, the title. Yeah, Silent Hill 1,
The
2,
place,
3.
bitch.
That's recurring.
The place. God damn it. Swear to fuck. So
There's
Silent Hill
spooky stuff
has
that's
like
recurring.
a very light story, or rather narrative to it. And like I told you before,
I'll say the same about the movie, but continue.
No, yeah. Well, like the movie again, like it loses a lot of the background story. A lot of it.
We'll get into that.
Get to that later. So I just wanted to read this little this little paragraph and then just go through my notes on the monsters.
Well, don't tell me, Roland. Tell the audience.
So all the
keep
plots
going.
of the installment in the Silent Hill series, except for Shattered Memories and The Room, share a common setting: the foggy rural American town of Silent Hill, which is a fictional location set in northwestern United States. Some games specifically reference the town as being located in Maine, whereas in the film, the town is set in West Virginia. The town in the first 3 games was inspired by concepts of a small town in America.
Don't talk about Centralia again. Don't talk about Centralia again.
I am.
God damn it.
As depicted by various media from various countries of origin. Well, blah, 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 Centralia, so alchemy. The town in the series inspired by, blah, blah, blah. Silent Hill is depicted in Shattered Memories as a heavily snow-covered town in the midst of a blizzard, while the events of The Room primarily occur in the fictional neighboring city of South Ashfield. The player venturing forth. Yeah.
Lisa, you're tearing me apart.
Yeah. No, like you're not completely wrong there. Like the main game is you're in a fucking apartment.
Oh, hi, Mark.
And like you go to like areas around Silent Hill in that game. So aside from that is because it's in everything. Silent Hill itself is almost like its own character. So I just wanted to go into that shit really quick before Daniel shits on everything. Before Daniel shits on everything else. All right.
I did not kill her. I did not.
Oh God damn it! Yeah, I'm not.
I am not NPCs. I did not kill her. I didn't do it.
No. Have fun fucking clipping The Room for this shit.
Hello, Ghosty.
No, they know what it is. They don't need to do
Get
that.
fucked. So Silent Hill manifests. Silent Hill the town. No. I need to wait. I need to wait. Daniel, Jesus Christ, your face is so red. Do you need a minute? Do you need a minute?
Well,
I know.
I've had 35 to rest
I'm on the clock.
Look. Your notes, Roland, please.
Bleh. I don't want it anymore. Where's my lighter? I'm gonna burn this motherfucker down. I don't need any of this shit. So. I know. All right. Silent Hill manifests delusions and tangible symbols of elements of the unconscious mind, which, if you've watched the movie, you can sort of pick up a little bit on that. If you play the games, you already fucking know this. The unconscious mind, mental states, and innermost thoughts. Like I'd mentioned before, it was originally created by the deity that the Order worships. As they mention in the game, the deity was originally like, it wasn't good or evil. It just was, I guess, somewhat benign. It ends up becoming corrupted later on. After it dies, and the Order sort of goes through trying to go about resurrecting it, and just go about keeping on. They became twisted and turned into a doomsday cult, because the belief was that when the deity is reborn again, it would bring them to paradise by destroying the old world. So they believed that they were saving humanity, but to reach this paradise, everyone needed to die. They worshipped. Originally, it was just a. I don't think it had a name. This god manifested. It wasn't a. It was this god manifested from suffering. The particular town or whatever was just going through a lot of shit, and then here comes this manifestation of their dreams, and it brought them prosperity. It brought them it started to bring them to heaven before it basically died. When they become corrupted influence, they start worshiping. They call it God, but like I said before, its name, and you have to go in through the game to find some of these little notes, is Samael, which, if no one knows, that's Satan. So they're worshiping the devil straight out.
How would one person know that unless it's associated with the game?
Well, Google.
Is Samael another name for Satan?
I believe so. I mean, that's kind of where I got it from.
Because I almost go.
Christ, here we go.
I didn't know that the Wheel of Time and Silent Hill series were connected like that.
Oh, get fucked, the Wheel of Time. Of all the things, like, you're talking about something that pulls from like every other mythology as well.
What is Silent Hill doing?
Well, not that specific one. What?
That's right, bitch.
It is all original mythos that it came up with.
It doesn't pull out from Norse. Okay, there's no Odin in this shit, I think. Anyways, the deity, like I said, the deity's set to create the paradise, run out of power, and die.
Oh, is this that Satan guy again?
The corrupted
Santa.
cult. Yeah, that's right. It's Americanized, so they can make money. They're making money off of Santa.
Wait, Santa's real?
Shut up. So their corruption was manifested in like ritual sacrifice, like you see in the movies. They start kidnapping kids. They are doing like all sorts of criminal fucking activities. They're trafficking drugs. They're just doing all this kinds of fucked up shit. And that's eventually how everything becomes corrupted.
Too much TV.
Maybe not enough. I don't know. So like I mentioned to you when we sort of started this, Daniel, the creators of the game use Jungian analysis, Freudian method to construct the characters, to construct the monsters that are used in the game. I'll go into that in a quick minute, but
I didn't see any major dongs, so I'm not sure. If this
there's absolutely this game is absolutely about tons of sex, dude. It's full of that shit. Fucking Pyramid Head himself is a giant phallus. That's one of the arguments that.
Is that like he's encased? Like, is he a dickhead encased in this like triangular thing so he can penetrate?
No, like the triangle is the dickhead or whatever, and so is the giant knife.
I'm glad all this came through in the movie.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like it's all lost. It's all lost in the movie. The movie, like it takes the shock factor in these things. It takes none of the actual the background in explaining where all these fucking designs come from. So they use the cathartic method is explained that as far as a lot of influences in the game go, this repressed emotion realized by confession. Most of it, again, is all about the sexing. I just wanted to go through these quick characters, like the main characters, the Pyramid Head, the Bubblehead Nurse, and the Lying Figure. Which those are the ones that are in the movies. I'm
going to give my own names to some of these monsters that I saw in the movie. Granted, I don't know anything about Silent Hill. Yeah. We'll talk about those later, though.
The movie,
but I made my own names from as I saw them, and I described them. So
I'm sure you did.
There we go.
So the Bubblehead Nurse in the movie is called the Dark Nurse, I think. And that's one of the sort of titular.
Oh, that's funny. Coincidence. We'll get to that later.
Isn't it? It's one of the main characters that is seen throughout all of the games. There are different like versions of the nurse, but the main one that the movie references is from Silent Hill 2, which is called the Bubblehead Nurse. They represent the protagonist of Silent Hill, the guy in that game. They represent a desire for intimacy. He has severe anxiety and sexual deprivation. These are nurses that are from the hospital that cared for his. In this game, he has a wife that she had a terminal illness and she died in the hospital. But the thing is, the premise for the game is that he sent a letter from his dead wife from Silent Hill to come to come find, meet her. And so he's like, well, I don't understand. Like, so he goes to figure out what the hell is going on. And that's when he starts seeing these manifestations of his psyche. Obviously he doesn't know about any of these things, but these are things that are explained as you play the game. People figured out as they were going along. And also again, like these these nurses, you see them, and you'd understand like everything here I talked about. They're wearing like low cut nurse uniforms, and tits popping out and all that kind of stuff. So that's where they get most of this shit from. And it's used throughout the series. They have different sort of influences, but again, the main one is from Silent Hill 2, and it represents this guy's problems that he was having with his wife. The other one is Pyramid Head, which you see him in the movie. He's this big buff ass motherfucker with a butcher's apron and a giant knife, and a monster ass cone on his head.
Let's keep him from scratching himself. Gotta keep the stitches in.
Yeah. So he's also from the second Silent Hill game. He's included in I think the fifth one, but that game was not made by Team Silent. Again, that was one of the ones that was made by another company. And at this point, like, it's basically in the same vein of the movie. They're just using these characters because they're cool, not because they have any particularly inherent meaning to the plot or to the characters themselves. So in the second one, this Pyramid Head, and again, this what I'm referring to in the second one are these are the manifestations of the player characters' problems. But he's supposed to represent an executioner. He represents violence, sexual masculinity. He's dressed as an executioner who personifies repressed guilt. His head is inspired by OG drawings the artist made of sci-fi pyramid-like beings. You'd have to look him up. I forgot how long ago he made these. But like, it's also possibly something that you find out in the game. You come across a portrait, and it shows like people. It's a painting of people that are from the order, from that particular order, and one of them has a red sort of pointed hood, and so that's the other possible suggestion, is that he's the twisted version of that of an order member. The protagonist. Another thing is that he's the reason he has the pyramid head on his covering his eyes and you can't see his face is that it's possible that it represents the main character's refusal to admit to his sins and realities. It's a blinder. It's not something I've talked about necessarily in there, but there's a crazy interesting twist about the main character in the second Silent Hill and how he's not a good person at all. And you sort of get these things as you go along through the game. Like you have to indirectly infer what the fuck is going on, and then it pulls an actual Shyamalan twist at the end. There's actually worth a shit at that point to me. That is just like, oh fuck, okay, well, I guess let's end the game then and see what happens, because there are multiple endings in the game. Like there's good, bad, neutral, and Ray might get a kick out of that. Secret endings in which usually you meet a UFO or you're beamed up into space.
So what you're telling me, it's
some kind of alien shit.
Follow your own adventure shit. That's what you're telling me.
More or less. And so he's
choose your own adventure. Excuse me.
He's supposed to sort of represent that the shadow archetype, the darker side of the main character. It's his base frustrations and his desires. So because he seems the pyramid head in the game seems like he's an adversary, but at the same time as well, like other people have looked into it and think that he's actually there to help you as well. Like he sort of guides you into particular realizations that the character needs to come to grips with, and he's not just there to cut his head off or whatever sorts of things, which you realize, or rather you can sort of see how that goes along as you play through the game. just like in the movie, Alessa Gillespie in the game, she, like I said, she's a psychic, very powerful psychic. She's supposed to be a host or a reincarnation of their god. They mention Incubus, they mention Samael. And just like in the movie, she burns and sort of dies, and splits herself off into a darker version of herself and I guess a pure version, which again, like I'd mentioned before, it's just sort of same things in the movie, and that's how they pull some of the main characters into Silent Hill. But the last thing that I just wanted to mention is in the movie, there's a thing, it's called the lying figure. When the cop comes across the monster with Rose, right after Rose gets handcuffed,
At the fence.
yes, you see like the sort of like torso
Baby
character
giraffe thing. Yeah.
So it's called the lying figure. It's supposed to represent. This is originally used in Silent Hill 2, and it's supposed to represent the main character's dead wife. It's supposed to be a representation of her illness, and his frustration, a manifestation of his frustration of being unable to touch or be near her. That's why it sort of looks like it's in a straitjacket, like its arms are tied to its side, its head is covered. It's restrictions felt that he feels, or rather, become manifested through Silent Hill. It's used in some of the later games. No, excuse me, not the later. It's used in Part 5, which again, different company, and so by that point, like it has no meaning. But originally, it's from Silent Hill 2. The little boy, like the little children, the burnt children from the movie as well, are from first Silent Hill, but they have a completely different meaning. I believe in the movie they're meant to be Alessa herself, like just sort of manifestations of her burnt ass, child body. I could be wrong. I'm not too sure because I don't care too much and I forgot. But in the first game, they're like shadow children from that you encounter in the orphanage in the first Silent Hill that are, I believe, a part of the trafficking that that cult was involved in, the kidnapping, and because what they do is they kidnap kids and they brainwash them to sort of indoctrinate them into their cult, and so that's how they keep going through through the generations or whatever. They they take people and you will worship the devil or whatever. I don't know. That's pretty much it. I mean, as far as I've want to go. I tried to keep it brief. I blame Daniel.
Something I wrote down during that diatribe was, Ray,
you're welcome.
that was not the greatest promotion for Plebes Quest a priori, because barring interruptions from Ray and I, or from you and I, and Roland's responses to those, we're talking probably 40-ish minutes on a show about a fucking movie, about a fucking game. So people are like, well, they talk for 40 minutes about a game on a movie cast.
God.
If I may respond,
This shit's
Daniel.
No.
Regarding the theory in this game and all the psychological background, I'm gonna say get bent. That's bullshit, right? That is read way too. If this is the game, this game that's too pretentious for this fucking game. I'm sorry.
Oh Jesus!
Like
Christ.
all this psychological nonsense going on. Like get the fuck out of here.
These are true artists.
This is a shock value.
True artists.
Fucking. This is all sexual.
They didn't want to do
mentioned
that
this.
shit.
You mentioned the sex.
Yeah,
this is all sexual.
I didn't go into it. I did not go into any of that.
No, I know. But
I can show you that later, Ray, and you'll see. You'll see.
No, it's. I think
all there for you.
it's like
it's all there for you.
It's bloated nonsense having to do with this. Like, well, every part means something. Get the fuck out of here.
And and the only David Lynch.
That's why it's
influence is
amazing.
the fucking goddamn
That's
atmosphere,
why
like the goddamn trees and shit.
Good,
because
Ray.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. There's three things I like in TV shows and movies: decent dialogue, coffee, and cigarettes.
God damn it.
Twin Peaks has all three of those, and I fucking hate that show. I was so bored. I didn't care about any of the, even though I got like freaky with the Red Room bullshit. I'm like, man, fuck this show.
Surrounded by
stupid,
by commoners.
Pretentious ass fucking.
I don't.
Excuse me. It's called
it's
art.
like Prius owners smelling their own farts, man. Just like in South Park.
Oh, it's just.
I think this.
Yes.
It's read too much into this game. I mean, I think in hindsight, you could probably
again, like it's not just one game. Like it's
no.
I
understand that, but I'm just saying, like in hindsight, it's 2020 on this shit, so you can go and read into every little bit and pieces. Like, was that with the creators' intention from the get-go? On this game, I'm sorry, I don't buy it.
They didn't know what America was like, so they didn't know what psychology was like too.
So what? No, that's not American.
They've heard of Freud and Jung. But yeah. Archetypes and sex. Let's just weave that in somehow.
Yeah, apparently they like that shit. So why is that a problem?
Some discs. Let's go, kids.
Yeah. So again, these guys were not the typical game developers, and so that was one of the things that made this very distinct compared to again Resident Evil or any of the other.
But that's.
Horror games.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, the only thing to me, as the layman of video games,
the movie does none of this like actual credence.
I'm comparing video games here. Like,
yeah.
The only thing different between
your only experience or your only exposure is the movie. So that's
why I've seen the game being played. I've seen both of them being played. All right, and I can tell you right now, as a person who's just looking in from the outside, all I see are just different monsters.
Yeah,
one of them's more kinky than the other one.
Yeah,
right? This one has zombies.
There's a lot of penis-shaped
mutant shit, and this one just is like let's just get like real sexual with it.
There's a lot of real and by
dick
games
with teeth
you mean
stuff or whatever.
Like Resident Evil and Silent Hill.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So the thing is,
simply referring to
the thing about Silent Hill is it's not a game or a series that you can just take in clips. Like you have to sit there and read and watch the whole thing.
Yeah, there's a pretentiousness.
Otherwise, it makes no sense, dude. That's the thing.
But it's a video game.
Yes, bitch. Yes. Like you can go in there.
You lose so much you don't play it in the original Japanese.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. It's like 10 minutes shorter, actually. It's faster. So go fuck yourself.
I'm just saying I mean, if you're looking back on like I said, Resident Evil, Doom, like all these like.
Yeah, exactly. It was completely different from the standard fucking video game formula.
That's not what Ray's arguing.
I'm just saying that there's not much different from any of them, and I think like
those are your expectations.
No, those are not expectations. I mean, I can see that. Like, look at a video game and think, oh well, this is fun. This is not fun. This is all it should be. Like
this isn't the sort of thing that you would necessarily.
I'm not going to go into Silent Hill and being like, what nuances can I read into all these scenes?
Why?
Because that's basically what you explained to me. Right. Is that there's all this shit, and I'm supposed to sit there while some dickbag with a fucking controller in his hand is like fucking playing the game and going, like I really see a lot of the fucking psychological references in this fucking scene right here as I'm getting fucked by the triangle head guy. Like I doubt anybody's fucking saying that.
There's a couple of scenes in there. That's exactly what he does.
I'm saying exactly, but I mean,
it's a lot about the rape.
That any fucking normal kid playing this fucking game isn't like going like, wow, like I really see Young in this fucking like scene. Like I see what they're referencing here.
They're gonna guys raping me right now. I really like remember my father and they might watch a good relationship and is that what they were trying to get to?
It's a good thing I read Interpretation of Dreams before I started playing this because I see everything. I
just reach for my copy back here.
Right, as a copy and a fucking dildo too, just like what?
Perfect, just what I needed. Bitches. No, playing this shit over the years, talking to the fan base, the creators that have gone and like asked the goddamn. This is very much a fucking nerd thing that like is not gonna. It's not that it's gonna go over anyone's head. It's just that it's not going to be interesting.
Thing that like actually gets real to the games, or the game.
A lot of it is there
talking about like, you know this. So this is what it meant, and all the fanboys are all like,
yes, bitch. That's exactly what happened.
That's a great idea.
Like, what's the?
I don't know. Like, like. because really, like, you know, because it could be that these games are so like actually developed to the point where there's all this like shit in there where if you've got, you know, a few brain cells, you've read a little bit of like psychology, wherever you go, oh, there's this.
So,
but
I just don't foresee that being the case.
I'm going to say this. You can take anything you watch, play, whatever, and throw in some kind of psychological working into it. I mean, anything.
Right, yes. But, like, that's the whole premise that they go with for creating Silent Hill. It's something that brings out the fucked up shit in your head. And so people playing the game or will, like, understand that and get curious.
I doubt it, though. I doubt.
Why not?
You think the fucking normal kids play this fucking game is thinking anything like that? Of course, fucking
not. The fucking normal kids. I'm talking about why is this a cult?
If you worry about Mr. Pyramid Head fucking with that sword.
And that's why you're not a fan, dude. Like, this is for fuck. That's why it's a cult series. Like, a lot of people that actually are interested in going to make the time to like get curious about it, find out all this shit. And so it's interesting.
Can I ask you a question?
No, but all this shit is actually in the game.
Yes.
It's not just like
it's not inferred. No.
Like with like,
dude, Twitter wasn't around when these games came out. God damn it! It's not like they could just fucking drop these guys. Can
I ask you this question?
And fucking ask them these things.
As a fan of the game, what was your take when you were playing this game?
I fucking loved it. I wanted to understand.
I get it.
Like, I wanted to understand. So, like, I understood that.
Also, was it like that's spooky, or let's see what's around this corner, or like, were you all like?
This spoke to me. This was interesting to me as a kid because I've always been interested in
titties.
Yes, yeah, lots of titties. God damn it, bitch.
No, what you got, Roll? Like on the real, because like, you know, like we haven't played these games. Like Ray and I watched like
another beer.
I didn't know you'd seen any like gameplay footage before, Ray, but I've watched maybe 5 minutes of Chris, you know, playing it back in the day. But
garbage. So I played Silent Hill 2 when I was a kid on PlayStation 2, and then I played the first one later. My approach to these kinds of things comes from my interest in horror in general. I like monsters. I see something fucked up, and the first thing that I think of is, why does it look like that? What the fuck is this going on? Like, why does this thing look like an inside-out butthole? Like, what happened? And so seeing all these fucked up monsters in this game, like, that was the first thing I wanted to understand. I wanted to know, like, what the fuck? Why does this look like this? Why would you design something this fucking batshit weird?
So you're like one of the friars that went with the conquistadors, like one of the Catholic priests that showed up in the New World. Like, what the fuck is this?
Pacify these bitches.
Roland, the Catholic priest conquistador perspective on games.
So, like, I understood. I didn't know anything about the game when I first picked it up. I just thought this was really fucking cool. I loved the horror elements of this. And, like, it answered questions to me when I was, like, just, like, you know, past the bare sense of design
make my dick hard.
That you get from fucking video games. That is to say, oh, here's a monster. He's got 2 heads. He's really big and buff. He's got a sword. Like, no, there was more to it than that. This fucking character sees this particular boss, and you don't see what she sees, and what it actually turns out to be is that it is a personification of her father raping her and abusing her as a child. What you see is what looks like a fucking formless flesh thing on top of a bed with like a huge dick or whatever the fuck that's spitting teeth in front of you. And that's a boss, and you fucking kill it. In a room with a lot of like sort of a lot of holes in the walls that are made of skin with a pistoning fucking like cylinders in them. So like there's a lot of fucked up shit in there, and I'm just like, where the hell did all this come from? Like, why?
So like, okay,
it was so far out of left field.
I'm not gonna be shitty or make any jokes, but like, how does the game tie? Like, for example, like do you find like a note, or do you have like some sort of like cut scene where it explains like, I see this horrific shit, and then protagonist remembers trauma?
All of that. So it isn't necessarily that you have to heavily infer any of this information at all. There are notes within the game things that explain certain details, certain creatures, certain events, and then again cutscenes where you talk to other characters. Another interesting aspect about Silent Hill is the idea that it is an individual experience to each person. So two people in Silent Hill do not see the same things. What you might see as, you know, like the demon Samael, someone else might see as an angel. Like literally they do not have
NPCs you interact with,
right.
or okay, all right.
Yeah, like it is a ridiculously interesting sort of psychological environment that Silent Hill just fucks with your head that much, but on the in such a personal way.
You know, Roland, I see more in-depth psychological nuance in the movie Brain Scan with Edward Furlong.
Oh, I thought at least you didn't say Wicked Prayer with Edward Furlong.
No, I said Brain Scan.
I thought you were gonna make a joke. One of the characters in the third Silent Hill game makes when
does Edward Furlong come up?
It's a DLC. You got to pay extra for that action. No, I just wanted to end about what I was talking about, how Silent Hill affects people differently. He tells you, you as the main character, that when you walk in, just like in the movie, you see some fucked up monsters. They see crazy hell world, or rather the other world, which is supposed to represent hell. Silent Hill itself, the foggy area, is supposed to be a representation of purgatory. But so that with this particular NPC,
you know, I saw that in Poltergeist Part 2.
So this NPC, you walk up to him and you ask him, "Did you see these monsters? You know, like, are you okay?" And he just sort of looks at you a little funny. He's like, "Oh, you thought those were monsters? Is that what you saw?" And then he's like, "Haha, I'm just kidding." But at the same time, like you know, he's it just sort of lends more to the effect that Silent Hill is different for different people. Literally within that. That are experiencing that same area or whatever. So that was
Roland,
that was the end of it.
Have you been to Silent Hill?
I wish. Never come back.
Are you in there right now?
And
am I in purgatory right now? You know what? It kind of feels that way.
Well, just to make some quick peace with that, most of my questions, although there was a era of assholitude towards it, or
an era
injected into it,
an epoch of assholitude.
I am still like, these games are intriguing, you know. Like I was kind of intrigued enough to go and like look on Steam and see what was available for this series. You know,
the thing is, like,
it was also kind of like a, hey, let me get your kind of knee jerk, like, okay, cool. Like, you say all this stuff about this game, but I don't know shit about it. So like, how do they actually portray these connections of, like, you know, psychological stress of these characters, yada yada yada. So like,
as Ray says, like with any other thing, I would be right there with you. I hate pretension. Like, I hate overarching bullshit that is done for the sake of trying to seem profound. It's bullshit and it's annoying. It's annoying as fuck.
That is a perspective that you have,
correct,
on certain things.
A lot of things.
So a lot of things,
but with few exceptions.
Let me just say this to you. You may say that about a lot of things, but what I'm saying this to you, but you don't see that in this game.
Right. Like I said, with few exceptions.
But I want you to just reflect.
Recognize that.
I want you to reflect.
Proves the rule.
I want you to reflect on how your response is when someone comes at you telling you otherwise, contradicting.
Because it is one of the few things.
We don't want to talk about this kind of psychological horror, okay?
Because it is one of the few things that I would possibly give a shit about. So yes, I will. I just said
there you
that.
Go.
Like, again, this is an exception.
Now your response, just like mine right now, if I give a shit about something, but yet you have the same reaction I'm having to you,
I'm gonna dump all over it twice as hard.
I tend to like absorb it and throw it away. But here you are, sucking down the booze. You cannot deal with that.
No, bitch, because I'm trying to explain it.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Exactly.
Fuck you guys.
Exactly.
Fuck you guys.
Reflect.
Never.
Reflect.
I don't need to. I'm just gonna.
And Freud from his little grave somewhere in Germany, you see there's a little digit go up.
So, yeah.
And I was not referring
Generally,
to his penis. I'm actually
consider this a psychological experiment on you right now, Roland.
No,
because you need to see how you respond to others that care about certain things.
Intervention.
As you shit on things that
Ray,
people care about. Wait.
Use this as your one chance to troll me. Go ahead.
Yes. Now you need to.
And I will never. It'll never happen again. It'll never happen again. Yes. Enjoy this moment, Ray. Because for the rest of your life, I'll be ready. I'll be there. With the stink face.
As long as there's a Wikipedia, you're ready, man.
And the beer farts.
I am.
How to deal with confrontation.
I relish in the fact that he's talking about Silent Hill.
No. It's Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Noise in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, you just cut my mic, didn't you? You just cut my mic, bro. You bitch.
No. So, no. Like for the most part, I would generally agree with like what Ray said. Again, for the most part, with few exceptions, this being one of them. I do enjoy Silent Hill a lot. I think it's actually very interesting as far as how they actually explain a lot of the backstory, a lot of the influences, a lot of the explanations, the exposition to, how it's designed. Because again, these guys were not nerds, like video game nerds. They're artists. So yes, there is some pretension in there, but they handle it in a way that I actually find compelling. So, if you got a problem with that, fuck you.
I would like to just make a note here that we actually talked about something that Roland actually cares about.
Yeah, it's not going to happen often, if ever again.
Unless it's Mortal Kombat or...
Speaking of something I care about, though, like within the series, Roland, and keeping in mind that like some of the games are kind of impossible to find or port over now.
Yeah. Most of these titles are, some of them are available on PC. A lot of them are not. You have to go through the PlayStation Store to grab them.
So, like saying, say I've got a PS4, what would be like the one, game among these series, kind of like say, okay, you may have heard about the series, like jump into it, and it's like a fun, thing. You get enough of the world, building within it, like just like the perfect like one shot game that isn't like Silent Hill.
That isn't Silent Hill?
Like part one.
So you could
they had an HD remaster or some bullshit.
Yes,
right?
and it was trash. The HD remaster included.
Why was it trash? Was it like the same like?
So what happened is
or did they cut like shit out of the story?
It's sort of all of the above and extra. Konami is a really shitbird company. What happened is that they lost the original source code for Silent Hill 2. It is not Silent Hill 1, 2, or 3. It's 2 and 3 in the collection. And they lost the source code for Silent Hill 2. So they contracted a sort of an outside company to basically jury rig this thing together. And they had to like put half of the game back together on their own. They had a very truncated schedule. So there wasn't a lot of time for them to put this shit together. Silent Hill 3...
That's for our IQ under 20 listeners. Truncated translation real quick.
So, like, it was a very... They were asked to remake this game. They were just given, like, less than bare bones resources to do it. And they... didn't explain how bad it was that these guys were going to have to bust their ass to try to make it barely at best past muster. These games were so bad. You can find comparisons on YouTube between the originals and the remake or collection. The iconic Silent Hill area, where you see the fog and all that sort of thing, that's gone. Like there's no fog. A lot of the original,
fog.
It's like so it was interesting about how the fog was included in the second Silent Hill game, it was actually a way to help the game process the levels around it in faster, and it just turned out to look really cool. That they put this fog in there to sort of like cover the area up as you're running along, so that it gives the computer time to like put that shit in front of you to process it. And it actually turned out to look really fucking cool. Like, it was just sort of like a happy coincidence. And so they got rid of this because, I mean, at this point, like, the HD collection, I believe, was released for PS3, Xbox, original Xbox, and then I think you can get it later. Yeah, you can get it now on the PC. But the thing is, or rather, the cool thing about the PC version, if you can find it, is that there's a really, really awesome mod community that has gone and restored all of this lost content, and they've improved it. They've they've made it actual HD kinds of things, and I believe they're still working on it to just sort of fix all of these fuck ups because it doesn't make any sense. Konami again is just like such a shit company that they lost all of the original work from these games. They're just like, we don't fucking care. Why do we need to keep this? Or I don't know what the fuck happened, but it's just like negligence out the ass. And it was a total shit show for one of the best games in the series. Again, Silent Hill 2. If you're going to pick up any of these, 1, 2, or 3 would be great. But it would be best to start with either 1 or 2. It doesn't necessarily in any particular order as far as those go. Do not play 3 first, because 3 follows 1 directly. 3 actually follows the sequel to Silent Hill, the Silent Hill movie, in that I haven't watched all of that movie. I just know how they took some elements from the fucking
revelation or whatever they call it.
Plot to put it out. And I know where it comes from, which is Silent Hill 3. The main character, I don't know. Have you seen the Silent Hill sequel, right? With is it Carrie-Anne Moss is in there or something like that? So, anyways, the main character inside
Sean Bean is back in the movie, and he dies in this one, which is one of his like 23 or 26 movies he dies in.
Okay, sorry to interrupt here, but we just want to encourage anyone who's currently still listening to like and subscribe, and to turn on notifications down below. You can subscribe somewhere around this area.
Follow us.
Notify
or maybe
over
it's
there.
in this area that I'm pointing to.
Obey me, minions.
And Roland, you want to give them any information of stuff that they can do to support the channel?
Money. We need this. I mean, what?
Check out the other podcast.
It'd be nice if you could be so kind
to check out the other podcasts.
Jesus Christ, I got this. So we've got a slew of other shows that we do, guys. We've got, Natty and Mixtape. We've got Cinekuest, which you're currently listening to, Valley Strange, and Fat Food for Fat People sometimes it comes up. But
and the final viewing
for a different bunch of interests and more stuff in the pipeline for you.
Yeah, we've got a lot of shit that
you can always, once again, just hit the bell on any of our shows, because we do have separate YouTube channels for our shows or whatever. Ray thought that was a good idea. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but
yeah. So we're on most social media platforms, like Ray mentioned before. You can follow
which ones, Roland?
So you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're trying to get some Reddit shit going. Some
TikTok as well.
Yes.
Also, you can find us on Podchaser, but I'm not sure how
Transistor
great of a utility Podchaser is. Whether it's a way to masturbate for content creators, like particularly fledgling ones like us, because I know my dick got hard.
I mean, if you want us to do like an OnlyFans, just let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, and just remember your Limp Bizkit albums, and we got you, babies.
You can't afford this.
You can like, you can dislike, just whatever you want to do.
Right.
We're all good with it.
Just say something, right?
Oh, yeah. And thanks to all those who have said something.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
Sure.
Back to the show.
You're cool people.
Okay, so we're finally going to talk about this movie here. Let Roland get his little drink there. Again, this movie did come out in 2006, and is considered a psychological horror. And then if you have listened up until this point, you will know that Silent Hill, according to Roland and the Wikipedia, that it is considered a psychological horror video game. He's clarifying. This movie is rated R, and it did have a budget of $50 million. We'll get to the actual box office at the very end of our discussion here.
It was on $12.
About $12.
Roland and Orly saw it.
I do want to give like a quick,
just me, baby.
A quick plot to this movie, and
Synopsis.
again, we'll get it. Synopsis that we'll get into would be more in depth, but I'm not going to go in depth until we actually talk about this movie. The movie starts off. The basis of this movie starts off with parents who have an adopted daughter. Parents Christopher and Rose, who have an adopted daughter named Sharon, who apparently sleepwalks. Again, we're opening the movie here.
A night terrors.
And we have Rose chasing Sharon up and down some kind of cliff, waterfall. And apparently she has night terrors where she screams Silent Hill. And this is what starts off the movie, or the motivation for the mother to take the daughter to Silent Hill. Right, exactly.
Unbeknownst to
Very subtle.
Budget Liam Neeson.
Yes, Christopher.
Also known as Sean Bean.
The best Bean.
Mr. Bean is the best Bean.
For those of you who don't know, Mr. Bean will show up right here. Okay.
Actually, I got you guys.
There he is.
There he is.
Look at that mole. I was gonna say
it wasn't a so subtle way to get the movie started, to get the characters into Silent Hill.
It has its Velveeta moments. Yeah,
sure.
Little heavier in some.
Before we get into the actual movie, Daniel, I know you wanted to talk about the cast of this movie, so let's get into that real quick.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of folks that were in this movie, because I'd never seen it until today. Like, I thought, maybe it's something like bullshit I checked out at some point. No, not a single minute of it. But seeing the cast, man. So we have fucking Sean Bean, who's fun. We've got the goddamn Borg Queen. I can't remember her name, but she plays the head of the cult. She's Christabella
in the movie.
Yeah, Christabella. Yeah.
In the movie,
Christabella, like that actress, she's the Borg Queen in Star Trek: First Contact, which is one of my favorite and probably one of the best Star Trek movies.
Alice,
and she fucks Data, which is cool.
I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but yes, the High Priestess of Brethren. Alice.
We also have playing a cop in this movie, Kim Coates as Detective Gucci.
Yeah, which makes no fucking sense.
No. He's referring to the guy.
Oh, boo!
The guy who comes out in Sons of Anarchy. Which is, I wanted to make that clear.
Yeah. Kim Coates. Yeah, he was one of my favorite characters until fan of the show. Chris and I were talking about this earlier, because I was like, dude, fucking Kim Coates is in this movie, and he was like, no shit. And
again, Roland, for Kim Coates is the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Listen up, Tig, man. He's fucking amazing. Until his story gets so dark.
Yeah, it does. But it's pretty awesome.
I can objectively say Sons of Anarchy is cool. Subjectively, never cared for it. I tried. I think I saw bits and pieces of the first season. It has a lot of good actors in it. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I can't remember her name, but the chick who plays the budget T-1000 in the movie. The cop chick,
Officer Bennett,
and other shit.
Officer Bennett. She came out in the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead, and she was also in The Mist as well. Yeah,
so I probably saw her Walking Dead then, because I did watch the first season. I know nothing. I'm coming around to the genre of zombies and bullshit. I think that the stuff that we do helps, but yeah, I didn't give a real fuck about The Walking Dead. Started the second season, I was just like, meh.
I don't even remember her being in there, but if you say so, that's cool. And I've seen The Walking Dead, like the first 5 seasons. 5 seasons.
You didn't even go that far.
I did. I stopped. Okay, so when
You weren't watching, Ray, but I did it.
No. Like when it first started,
I'm just saying. I'm going to go back to like one of these episodes where you
stopped watching it after
said
the first
specifically
season.
that you stopped watching after the first season.
Yes, and then later on, a friend of mine got me into watching it for shits, and I was like, okay, cool. I'll drink some beer and sit through this. And so I ended up watching.
You were trying to sleep with her, right? Whoever it was.
Yeah. That's the only.
That story's
the other person.
It's got to be I'm trying to bang situation.
Look, no. Look, here's the thing. You know me. I have no patience to sit through something by myself. But if I'll sit through it with someone else, like it's not the same. Like I can actually.
And if you might bang that person a little better, a little gooder chance.
Then sure. But again, like that's going back to me in that I have no patience for most things. Unless alcohol or something.
Yeah, we get it. Stop making excuses.
Fuck you.
You either have alcohol and you're going to bang this person. You're going to wait and be patient to bang through an hour worth of fucking mediocre TV. Gotcha. It's fine. It's totally fine. No need to make excuses.
Great.
No need to make excuses. It's okay, Roland.
Seasons of this.
It's okay,
boring
Roland.
bullshit.
Yes, sir.
I draw the line with Fear of the Walking Dead.
Roland. All right, you were weak.
Absolute trash.
You were weak to bang.
Oh no, I see that now
fine.
at this point because I like what season are they in now? Like 15 or some bullshit.
No, it's not 15. You drunk ass motherfucker. Are you done making excuses? Just accept it.
It's boring
and move on.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a story, Roland, and the person's anonymous. So like, whoever you're trying to bang,
Yeah.
saying,
They allowed you to drink while you watched Walking Dead with them.
You know?
You banged afterwards. That's fine. You were patient until up in that point. And got it. That's fine. Move on. No need to make any excuses about it. You done?
I'm explaining my situation.
There is no explanation.
To a pair of bitches. Okay,
there is no
problem here.
Okay. Please enlighten us with your
I'm a bitch. Please explain your story, Roland.
I'm done, you trolly cunts. All right? Done. Fuck you.
So we were right. Gotcha.
I think that was all about like all the standouts in the cast. I think that
Lauren Holden,
the chick who played the actual mother of Sharon, that bag like lady, I think that she's been in shit too.
Say it again, Daniel. I'm sorry.
The bag lady? You mean Dahlia Gillespie's character?
Yeah, Dahlia Gillespie. Yeah, because I think that chick was like in one of the Highlander movies, like 3, I think it was.
No way. Really? Deborah Kara Unger. Yeah, you're right though, Daniel.
She was in Highlander 3.
Oh, but it's
yeah.
Ooh, the bad one.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Because even with the TV series of Highlander, man, like I'm fucking
so bad. It's amazing, and you love it.
Immortals going around like there's another one. There can only be one, motherfucker.
Now, Highlander 3 is not the one with like Mario Van Peebles, right? Where he comes out and he's like, anyways.
It probably is. God damn it.
We're here to talk about Silent Hill. So,
but yeah, so like the main point is like the cast had some standouts for me personally, and I think also just like good actors. Period, popping in.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that these. I've somewhat familiar with some of these actors, and I think they did a good job for what they were.
So in certain respects, it feels kind of like Doom, where they had a lot of like pretty big name folks in there and stuff, even though it was kind of like a meh movie.
Because I mean, some of these characters I wasn't too familiar with until later on in their career, obviously, but I don't think they did a terrible job at what. Kim Coates, I feel, is a good actor all the time. I made a note here that he was also in the movie The Client, which is an adaptation of the John Grisham movie.
Was he?
Yeah, he was in that movie as well. And he was really good there too. Yeah.
So actually, okay. So I did look up his wiki and did notice that he's been active since like 1986 as an actor or something like that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that tracks with The Client, but just damn, dude.
He was in Waterworld.
That was Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes.
And,
he was in Waterworld.
I have respect
Susan
for
Sarandon.
this person now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Bad Boys.
The Client is a very good movie. I think
that just took me to the way back machine to
he was also Battlefield Earth though.
Yeah, he was in Battlefield Earth.
Oh, you mean one of the greatest sci-fi movies that's ever
Black
produced?
Hawk Down.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean, Daniel.
Open Range.
You hadn't seen this movie before, Daniel, until now.
Yeah.
What about you, Ray?
I'd seen it once. I don't recall if I saw it in theaters or not.
So probably
it was kind of forgetful. But I know I've seen it before. And again, I can't say I've seen it once or twice, but I'm sure for sure I've seen it once.
I know I watched it with you at one point back when you were at the Chestnut, because I had it on DVD and I brought it over and we put it in.
That's probably when I saw it.
Yeah.
Again, I don't recall seeing it at the theater.
10 years ago.
Maybe I did. I don't remember. So
I did see it in theaters.
Regarding this fucking movie,
and it was great.
It kind of jumps right into like the plot. The main.
There's no easing you
point
into
to the movie.
this. It's just like Silent Hill.
But you gotta ask yourself, like,
and they're there.
Yeah, they had to find a way for them to get there.
It's not
and it was a very
direct,
mediocre way to get there.
So
yeah. What better way than to just like, let's load up in a car and go to this place that you might have been from?
She's like,
right, exactly. Like, oh, it's the ramblings of a child. It must be true. Let's go.
Yeah, and I was like, fucking, like, no. Why would you believe a child just screaming fucking?
Stop watching TV, bitch. This is your problem. Too much fucking Blue's Clues or whatever. Like,
but they just jump into like this, like, okay, well now we're just gonna like, mom and daughter trip it to this place that
fuck you have
this deep trauma associated with.
I love you, but you're not important.
Fucking Sharon was left as a baby on the doorstep. So like, what the fuck is a baby gonna remember? Like, about Silent Hill, man. You got the fuck out. Like, you're lucky, dude.
What I didn't know, as far as the background to this story or the parents and the child, when did they adopt her? She was a baby when this happened, right?
Right.
She was
So you see that in the end of the movie where the evil Alessa is carrying the baby towards the foster.
But were her sleepwalking night terrors like just recent? And what awakened that?
That's something that
that's not explained.
The thing is, like, because they talk about like they're like later in the movie, they do allude to how the only good part of Alessa is her baby, who is what the fuck is her name?
Oh, Sharon.
Sharon.
Yeah,
thank you. So
which is itself like confusing.
Kind of implied like that there's a deeper connection than just like mother-daughter between them because of the supernatural bullshit going on. But that still doesn't satisfy me. Like I still don't know how the fuck this little kid's having these visions of like crazy churches and going to these like disassociative moments where they're drawing all this horrific shit and people burning and garbage.
Right. The movie takes some pretty heavy liberties.
But like, because it implies that like
getting into
because later in the movie you find out some more of the plot of this film. Then maybe you could argue that it's Alessa communicating through her daughter to lead.
Alessa
Rose
doesn't have a daughter.
You're talking about Dahlia's. You're talking about Alessa, the other version of the girl, right?
So the
the one who's like
the dark.
I led you here.
Right.
You followed my chops. You followed my clues well, detective.
So both of these children are manifestations of Alessa's psyche. One of them is like the goodness, and the other is the
she's
evil.
Technically,
because she's bedridden.
Okay,
yeah, she's bedridden.
Thank you, Roland. Actually, you cleared up some confusion I had because like there's little evil little cunt
it's weird.
Bitch. There's good little cunt bitch,
and they also explain
fried tater in the goddamn bed.
Yeah, so when they talk about she's crispy-eyed, crispy fried. So
hold on, Daniel. Like when she emerges from the other dimension, so to speak, and she's like risen with her fucking barbed wire and shit.
Yeah, with like the Jesus symbol. Like,
when she kind of like looks over, like I busted out laughing because I was like, that just looks fine.
Yeah, because she has like a little smirk. Yeah, she looks over. I got you. I'll take care of you.
I was like, that doesn't look scary at all.
No, it was funny. I must say that this movie did have some of the most metal kills that I've seen with all that barbed wire shit towards the end.
The ending was, as far as like kills are concerned, like that was cool.
Seeing this in the fucking theater, you get to see like chick get ripped in half by barbed wire. And it's so funny. I laughed when I remember laughing in the theater because she's like, God, let me stay pure. And then her legs get pulled apart and she gets boom, right off the vag, right in that vag. And she's just there like,
barbed wire schlong.
Wishboned, boom.
For some reason, I imagine like as these Roland's watching this in the theater and they get ripped apart.
What am I?
He's like
am I masturbating or some shit?
No, he's just fucking
headbanging?
he's just fucking headbanging and shit.
No,
I had my hair. I'm doing the fucking. It's called the hairnado.
You ran to the front row, yeah.
Start moshing with myself. Yeah.
Actually, Roland, you watched it twice in theaters. The second time you had mirrors on your shoes, and you're just like.
So when I went to theaters, it was really funny. I didn't. Orly didn't watch this movie with me. I didn't go with him. I don't know when he saw it. He probably saw it after I bought it on DVD. I went with a friend, and he decided to take his niece and nephew, who were
perfect.
like.
Perfect,
Exactly.
yeah.
He didn't know. He didn't understand, like, what do you expect?
Yeah,
like, he knew what the game was about. He didn't necessarily think that...
Rated R for everyone.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Let's take some children into this. And it was so great, the look on his face when Alessa's burnt ass rises up in that church, and then all the barbed wire comes out of nowhere and starts
wrecking shit.
Barbed wire banging this... what's her face? What the hell's her name again?
Board Queen. What's your call her? Board
Christabella.
Christabella.
You know, was that whole scene taken from fucking Evil Dead with the tree? Think about it. Think about that.
So it was so funny because I look over at him and he looks at me and he's like, he tells his niece and nephew, he's like, cover your ears and your eyes. He's like, oh, fuck me. Like, what is going on? Their parents are going to kill me. And then he sees the fucking barbed wire.
Roland's fucking like...
Yeah, as I'm doing this shit or whatever, laughing my ass off. I'm cheering it on. Get the bitch. Yes.
The only asshole in the theater.
Get the bitch. every scene in there, he's like, "Fuck me! Why did I bring this to? Why did I bring?
Why is he making it worse by saying all these curse words?
It was so hilarious.
Yeah, they barely swore the entire movie. And I was corrupting those kiddos for That's his blood.
It was
no respect.
It was so great. Like he's like, I'm so fucked. I'm so fucked. I'm so fucked. I just, she's getting ripped apart. I'm just sitting there laughing.
But yes, that end scene is very nice.
It's very cool.
It's a cool scene,
Yeah.
I personally, I thought like the only time it started getting like more violent, because before all that, like we have a bunch of monsters that show up. But like the scene where
it's very much like the game where it's a slow build. You are introduced to these monsters here and there.
No. But like I'm just talking about the scene where like the pyramid guy where he gets that girl and fucking like rips off her fucking skin and shit.
Yes, that is one of my also
entire
favorite.
Skin coat off.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which I'm gonna say here, like
it's very unique. I'd say to that.
I wouldn't say so necessarily. It was just cool to see.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have seen Hellraiser, I mean,
that's true.
It's kind of tame, But
well, not necessarily. It's maybe an inspiration.
I am skinless. Like it happens in both fucking movies.
No. I'm gonna say the quality of the version that I saw watching it again. I don't have like a quality TV as Roland does to see it in HD, but I don't know which kind of version Jamie purchased for us.
Yeah, you probably watched it in 720 bitch.
It was VHS.
But like it didn't look that great. But I'm gonna overlook the quality of the movie.
You should have come over here and watched it with me 1080p, baby.
Man, I got shit to do. God damn.
I know. Life's a bitch.
But anyways, some of those scenes I'm sure like they would have looked pretty great on better TV or better version. Because my internet's not that great either. So I overlooked some of the lesser quality of the film.
I really liked that
effects.
part. I thought that was such a cool scene. I mean, like, and the girl's being a little shit, when she's throwing rocks at Dahlia, like, and she even smiles right before Pyramid Head, like, just busts it right behind her. She's like, hey, she's gonna she's gonna hit this fucking woman in the face with a goddamn stone, and it just picks her up.
No, go ahead.
Tears off her clothes. Firstly, awesome, naked, and then just grabs her right between the tits.
And then naked her.
Boom. Yes, exactly. just rips off her skin in one shot and throws it at
I did
Rose and the cop. And like as they're closing the door, because they're running away from there at this point, it's the old shit moment, and he's just there like, "Yep, I'm badass," and throws this skin at him. As they're closing the door, it splatters on the door and just blasts, like sprays them with blood right in between the crack. Like that was such a cool.
And then we have a comedic moment where I couldn't help but think of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Whenever
you making the Monty Python references now.
And when the lady goes, witches! I was like,
yeah, I totally thought about Monty Python during this movie too, man.
Yeah, it was. So that part of the movie was pretty bad. Burn her as a witch, blasphemer.
But yeah, that's the first time.
Your faith brings death.
That's the first time we're introduced to this cult.
Right.
I mean, and officially.
So again, it's the reverse of the game series, and these guys, they essentially just bring about their own doom. The thing is, it's interesting about this movie, and maybe the game do it like where it's like you have kind of the same like progression where it's like I'm in this abandoned village and all this weird shit's happening, and then all of a sudden there's people there, and then you interact with those folks. Or so the difference between this and the games is that there are a lot more people in the movie than there are in the games. In the games, like it's Silent Hill is essentially abandoned. Like there are a handful of NPCs.
Well, no, that was what was implied by the fucking movie. But so whether it's 4 people or like the 200 or whatever that are depicted in the movie, like is it kind of the same like setup where like you're under the idea that this place it's like you and the spooky wookie out there, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, there's people, and then you start interacting with like the 4 to 10 people in the game or the 200 in the movie.
You know, since I hadn't seen the movie in a long time, so like there's certain details that I didn't remember. I completely forgot about the cult that's in there, and whenever the scene where they're on the stairs and she sees like the chapel and she remembers like the daughter like creating that picture.
There's no scene. There's no scene like that in the game. There's
I know, but regarding the movie, like whenever like all the people start running back into the chapel, because apparently it's like a safe place whenever it goes dark.
Right.
I thought those were going to be like monsters, but then I realized, oh shit, those are like a whole bunch of people that are coming through. But there in that particular scene, Officer Bennett, which is Lauren Holden's character, there's a shot that I feel like is like in the game where she goes, it's like panned up this way, and it's like from the view of Rose, and she goes, it's coming, and then like everyone's like running up. For some reason, I felt like that was like would have been a video game shot, because I remember from the trailer, but I don't know if you all remember it specifically. Like for some reason, I felt like that was like first person view of like just like the video game would be.
The video game only ever uses it's not. It only ever uses that perspective in one of them, which is Silent Hill: The Room, and that is when you're in your apartment. Like otherwise, it's over the shoulder. Otherwise, it's.
But that's after the movie.
I forget
because we did 1 through 4, and The Room is.
I do believe it's before the movie. But again, like that is only one specific segment of the game. It's not. No.
But that's what I'm saying is that like there's certain
that felt video game-esque.
Yeah,
like as far
just
as
the shot itself felt like it would have been part of the video game, like a specific call out as to the way the first person perspective would be.
Sure,
if that's the case.
Oh, to like go to that cut scene or whatever.
Right,
okay,
yeah.
Word. And on that note, Ray, and I was talking to Roll earlier about this, but this movie did a great job of, as a video game movie, like showing those kind of switches from you as the player running around as the character to cutscene.
Right. So like they have
there's
a lot of
there's some great shifts from like third person rear to third person frontal view, but there's a slight blackout transition. And all of a sudden, like now something else is happening where it's a calmer scene or a scene of dialogue or whatever. But I think that, and I've been playing a lot of video games of late. So I've had those experiences like running around and then like all of a sudden, like boom, cutscene time. And there's a camera shift and all that stuff, like, you know, maybe a side view or, you know, switch around to see the front of your character or whatever the fuck. But I think that this movie did a really great job of like giving that kind of feel to it, where you're kind of in the uncontrolled, and here's kind of the controlled moments where there's interactions that are going to happen whether you like it or not.
Those do follow the pacing of the game fairly closely, and that
And in particular, Ray, the scene I'm thinking of,
those survival
since you've watched this movie, but early on when they first get to the town and Rose is still like trying to follow who she thinks is Sharon around, and she goes to that part where it has the stairwell,
right?
Like it'll transition. They're like watching her like run after her, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, her descending down the staircase, investigating.
Right.
That felt very like video game-esque, particularly when it comes to like titles on like the PlayStation, like Metal Gear series that comes to mind as well, with the kind of like shot. I'm not sure if it's like a transition or just a straight change up. I don't know much about cinematography, so I'm not sure how you would title that bullshit.
I think with a lot of these video games that we've seen, it always seems like they're trying to incorporate some kind of elements of like video game perspective.
A lot of the
so I mean, as far as like I don't think there's like normally those kinds of like there's certain shots that you wouldn't never normally see in like regular movies and some of these video game movies, but like I think they're unique to these types of movies.
A transition, and then now they're at a table talking about bullshit, or there's an immediate interaction rather than like, oh, different perspective, and they're
because I mean in normal, I'm could be completely out of my depth here, but in normal films, I guess you have particular shots. You have like the wide shot, you have the close up, you have the middle shot. You know, like
Silent Hill was popularized in that they had like sort of off standard angles for a lot of their
but you're talking about the video game though, right?
Yes, but what I meant, the reason I mentioned that is I meant that as a segue into the movie that also uses a lot of those same, particularly just sort of like awkward looking camera angles that
right. But that's what I'm saying is like
lend very well.
Like
to,
you don't get those kinds of perspectives in like just the general movie. You know, like I said, the most you've seen is like shots of overhead or something like that. But I mean, like there's certain like nuanced perspectives that you get in certain video game movies. So, not all the time, but like they kind of like show that sometimes.
This was one of the few exceptions that the game series itself, the first few titles are known for in having like these very interesting, like just off-brand cinematic angled shots.
Right.
They're very just. It seems like you're watching like a weird movie, and so I think it was maybe easy for them to adapt that because of that into.
Because like there were
into
a lot of cool shots, man. Like. And you see these tropes in other movies when like hell is invoked or whatever, but just those like downward looking shots like into like the chasm of metalworks and hellfire or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But it wasn't necessarily the shots themselves, but how they kind of like transitioned into them, like felt video game-esque. And
sure.
And I would say like apart from Doom's like intentional, like let's get this like FPS view of
that was a lot of like direct comparisons.
But of the movies that we've watched so far in the video game series, I would feel that this is probably the most like true to a video game feel.
Sure. I'm just going off by like the little knowledge. You watch
these characters kind of tool around, and you get like a good like view of the environments, and then also like what's
like as feel. Do you mean like
characters focusing in on stuff like in a cut scene where it's like the cop and Rose on the road, and they get through the first fucking little dude, lying man, I think it is that you called him, Roll.
Yeah,
and then it could totally go like a cut scene sort of thing where you look up and it's like, oh shit, there's more of them. Back to the game, keep running. By feel, I think. Do you mean maybe like representation of the video game series? Like as far as how like it's
it's all been portrayed, how they angle
I think
the
it's
shots.
just in general like the world that they've built.
It feels video gamey because I've never played Silent Hill, but I've
what I mean to say is that
to where it's like,
but not in the same sense you
this
get
is a moment where it's like, oh, this is where the cutscene would be. This is where like the NP where you're running as the character through the town investigating bullshit.
What I mean is that you don't necessarily get that video game like campy feel or whatever, where it's just like like in the Mario movie, or like what we're going to be getting into next time, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie sort of thing. Like this is like
it feels like it's more true to like the video game experience. If that's
yes
boils down.
Well, like I'm referring to like the specific experience that the Silent Hill series is meant to convey. As opposed to just like in a general sense, where again, like, oh look, here's Sonic the Hedgehog. He go fast, he jump and do stuff or whatever.
Word. I mean, and this is also the first video game movie we talked about the series where I've not played the fucking game, like in any way, shape, or form. I've just seen like a few minutes of gameplay back in junior high or some bullshit.
Yeah, this series is old as fuck.
Okay, so this is pretty generic, but I mean, as for the audience who maybe they've never seen Silent Hill, the question is, in this movie, not the video game necessarily, is Silent Hill in another dimension?
Yes. It is a parallel dimension. There are two, there's the hell interpretation, or rather depiction of Silent Hill, and then there's the foggy area, which is it's purgatory.
Well, there's actually 3 levels of Silent Hill,
and then the normie version.
Yeah, the way because you had like you got that cool like we're on different planes of existence right now. But you saw Rose and her hellscape,
right,
versus the Sean Bean and Tig walking through the hallways and
but
these dimensions are connected apparently in weird ways, apart from just
they overlap.
And
they're overlapping parallel dimensions. Yes.
Yeah, there's
because you had like Sean Bean like smelling his wife's perfume in that hallway. So like these dimensions are connected, but there's 3 versions of it. But, or they're just 2 versions because it seems like it's a.
Well, right. There's the standard reality, Daniel, and then there's the Silent Hill.
I think you're right that there's 3 because it said you have the reality version,
right?
The foggy one, and then the hellscape one,
right?
The thing is, I started to think about that again though, because the hellscape and the foggyscape kind of seem to go like as soon as like nighttime hit, that's when the hellscape took over.
Right, so they temporarily overlap with each other. It is not a.
But it seemed like in the movie, there's not the game,
right?
It seemed to
in the movie,
be timed because they're like, oh shit, darkness is coming. Let's fire up the horns or whatever.
It's
no, but why is that? Why at nighttime does that hellscape version show up?
Yeah,
so
like that's a great question.
The only explanation I can go for is that it's sort of like a crossroads situation where if you go to this place for this allotted amount of time, you're able to see a particular thing. Right. And then past that moment, like it changes back into like the dimensions are no longer overlapping. They separate to themselves. Mm-hmm. As I understand, the Silent Hill Otherworld is a manifestation of the Alessa character's like nightmares. She herself is just so powerful. Her hate is so strong and all that. Blah, blah, blah. She's so emo that she's able to create these nightmare worlds that she exists in, not necessarily that anyone else can perceive like at all times. And the transition between the normal reality and her hellscape is the foggy area. And so that is where like they shift between each other.
Do
you think
maybe we have to get into the games here, but how do you get from like the normal verse to the foggy verse to then be able to interact with the hell verse?
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I don't know if this is true or not.
The movie.
I just want to like throw this out there regarding the movie and like the way things are separated. Do you think like Gillespie, she's like the one that's bedridden, right?
Alessa.
Yes.
Alessa, yes. Gillespie.
Yeah, you're right.
Alessa Gillespie, yes.
If she is like, let's say for instance, it's daytime and she's awake, Like she manifests just this foggy world, but like when she actually dreams and like falls into like sleep, like a nightmare,
then her powers or
she
her
has like
powers really
since
take
she
over.
manifests like all these worlds like in her nightmares as she sleeps, like this whole world emerges.
She dreams it into existence.
Exactly. Every night she dreams that into existence.
So yes, as far as the being able to produce these nightmares into reality, not so much the rest of that, in that like it has to be a particular time, or it just depends. It's not really explained.
Well,
it's very vague.
I'm truly fascinated by this.
Can only what I can only infer possibly from the movie is that because she is able to create these fucking nightmares, to like this level of control that she has over her reality, is because she's actually it's her spirit. Like her body's dead.
Okay.
In the real world, and she does not exist in purgatory because again, like the foggy Silent Hill is a transitional area.
Well,
she exists in the other world.
What I want to say is that like the only way she was able to kind of like bring those worlds together again, because like I mentioned before, like let's say daylight, she's kind of like awake and conscious in her unconscious state. She dreams up these nightmare worlds, but whenever the two versions of herself that she manifested, the good, you got Sharon and then the bad Sharon,
Dark Alessa.
When they were finally kind of like
they merge
sort of like, or like kind of like we're in the same space, because like, you know, like the bad version goes into the fucking mother.
Yes.
Yeah. Whenever they were kind of like close, like the, I guess proximity allows the dead body, Alessa Gillespie, to kind of like merge, and then like she can kind of merge those nightmare world with the foggy world together in the fucking church. I mean,
that's possible. That's like an interesting.
But there was also some like unexplained element where it's like, why was the church like sacred ground, even though that seemed to be like almost like ground zero for the events in certain ways?
They don't explain that.
But she,
the Dark Alessa just says their faith keeps her out of the church. That's what.
If Alessa was like cool with Sharon and Rose at the end of the movie, how is it that they were not able to just be like leave the fog world and go back to the normal plane of reality?
So what I think happens, and it's sort of intimated in the sequel, you'd have to watch this to sort of like maybe understand, is that when Rose is stabbed by Christabella. Yeah, that when she's stabbed by her in the real world, she actually dies. You do see that hole in her heal up, but again, that's because it's already otherworld at that point. She's bringing the hell world back, and by that point, she's a spiritual being or whatever the fuck. Like she's dead.
So what about Sharon though? Is it because of her? So Sharon, because she's still a flesh and blood creation.
But Sharon merged with
like
the bad
demigod after the fact,
and it has also been
but
it has already been established,
or like bad Alessa merged with mommy,
which is also fine.
Still like terrified on the side.
No. It's implied that they merged together
with the child, with Sharon. So
like
the thing is,
together,
the thing is that like during certain conditions, and this is the same in the games, a living being can be present within the purgatory, the fog world of Silent Hill, and the hell version. They overlap again in different points. And it lasts for a certain amount of time. In the game, it lasts for certain events, like certain triggers or whatever will bring about like your exposure to that particular dimension.
I guess,
and in the game,
what I'm trying to get at is like once you enter like the fog world, are you basically just like there?
Yeah. No, like they exist and they can die in any of these realms necessarily.
No, but I mean, like, but is it possible? And did the game, like, you know, even, or the game series reveal that, like, okay, nothing bad happened to me. I just happened to like trip into this fog world and I tripped out of it somehow.
Yeah.
And I can go like between the planes, but not go fog escape, hellscape, and just fog escape, like in this movie for these two characters.
Yeah, I was asking myself, why was Officer Bennett, Lauren Holden, how come she got sucked into the world? I mean, she did die in
because
that world, but
because Silent Hill in the bare sense is a physical place that you can go to. But once you go there, like that's when you get exposed to the other.
But why did she go into that realm and not into the regular reality? Like maybe Rose and Sharon disappeared as they were being chased by her. They disappeared into that and they crashed, and she just ended up.
Bennett was still able to be there, but then hubby and the other cops show up and they're just walking around.
So
it's like whatever.
It seems
can't find them.
That seems to be like a shitty movie detail. Like it's not necessarily explained. Like you just sort of have to assume that Officer Bennett has herself become involved and associated to Sharon's journey or whatever through Silent Hill, and because of that particular association, maybe that's what pulls her into the world, into the rest of like the order and all the bullshit that they themselves.
I think I came up with Silent Hill Part 17 or whatever they're on now. No, but a new game style, because the dimensions are connected but separate. But with the precedent set by
it's easier to think of them as like overlapping,
like the perfume of his wife in that hallway that he was in.
Yeah.
What if you have like different game modes where you're like playing on the same story?
What, like somebody farts in other worlds?
Investigate on like the upside, and then in the upside down, you have someone else investigating.
I smell Fritos and fish. This is Ray. Is that you, Ray?
I don't eat both of those together. They're always separate. At the end of the movie. Again, regarding those parallel worlds, he does smell her perfume at some point when they're actually in Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Then when they go back to the foggy version of her house,
the doors open in the real world.
Yeah. So like and he can sense them. So what you don't know in watching the second movie is that the daughter.
You watched the second movie?
I only saw parts of it. So
no. Like this is not this. Like they explain this in part 2, kind of, at least, or
a portion of it. And by the portion, I mean in that why Alessa, that, and also why Alessa is not dead, or rather why it's considered that Rose is dead and stuck in in the transitional dimension, and Alessa is just there with her, not stuck with her. Because Alessa's character is pulled through back into reality, and then like the story goes on from her. So while Rose is fucked, Rose is stuck there,
parallel dimensions, and so this has my attention, and so
it's
like,
really wonky.
It
really is. It's hard. Again, like this is one of the things that makes it fucking interesting. It's hard to like understand what the fuck is going on. But at the same time, like it's very interesting to see how these
because these things where like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't hurt this movie, I don't think, because there's
they're able to get away with it.
There could be some exposition here or there from some of the characters, like we be trapped in this world now or whatever. A little pirate cultist, I guess, but. But fuck, I just love the idea of this kind of a world, like mythos. Like
I don't think this is a great movie by any stretch of that particular sense. But I do think that it was a fairly decent representation of the game, which is not something that most video game movies have. Like they usually eat shit hard.
I want to continue on with these questions though. Okay, so.
Yeah, go for it. One
of the things that another question I had up brought to my attention is that
all right,
what are the police hiding regarding Silent Hill?
So
I know they go to a small. There's like a small portion of this movie where he kind of explains what happens.
Yeah.
But the one thing I did not like was that was the end of it. We don't see Officer Gucci after that.
Gucci, yeah. So
it's
and
a
also
fucking cover
with this, I get that. Is all fucked up because they talk about like this 9-year-old girl, but then this event happened in 1979, so like 30 years prior,
right?
But like no one has aged, even Gucci, who's in the real world or whatever, like he hasn't aged a day when something was supposed to happen 30 years ago, but then 9 years ago this kid was dropped off, and this timeline's really messy, and I had some notes. I was like, this timeline makes no sense because they're talking about like, oh, this great event in '79
didn't
cause Silent Hill to be abandoned. So then I was like, okay, well maybe this movie takes place in the '80s.
Haven't they aged though? Because I recall that no, like wait.
The only character that ages is like the fucking. I'm not
sure. I'm not sure I agree because
he just said that because like he said the only one that aged was the Christabella.
Didn't the rest of the okay? So here's the thing:
Alessa's mom.
No. I don't know because was Christabella not younger
didn't look like
when
she aged
they
a day between the earlier events and today. And
did she not? Wasn't she younger?
Like they've been around for a long time and all fucked up. But for the main characters that are supposed to have like age.
So here's the thing. I have
you don't see it.
I have two ideas. I'm not too sure about that. I'd like to maybe go through here.
No, go for it, man.
When Christabella originally burnt Gillespie's crispy fried ass, wasn't she much? Didn't she look a lot younger in the flashbacks? I don't remember them so well.
Well,
not
Roland,
really
she just looks more ashy.
What?
You're talking about Christabella, or you're talking about Dahlia?
No.
Christabella does not look much older.
And Dahlia was much younger as well. Yeah, she was.
She just looks ashy. Though.
She has the red. She's a fucking redhead, and like she looks young as fuck, dude.
Ashy.
That means nothing. Shut your face. Okay, so my point is that I do think they've aged.
Maybe on your crisp, clean TV that they like. No, like not trying to be shitty, but just saying like.
No, that's a good point. I'm sorry, Ray. With your CRT,
but maybe the art for or maybe the.
Were you watching this in VHS?
Touch me again.
Board Queen was to make her look younger, but I didn't see a substantial difference between the characters if it was supposed to be 10 years or 30. Like they seemed to be like ageless fucking
30.
entities, which is weird.
It said 30 years, but like the characters themselves don't look like they aged.
So
it said 30 years, but then it was like, well, 9 years ago we adopted this kid.
So
this kid was supposed to be born, but that's during this time because
that's where we get the whole
fire 30 years ago or the sacrifice 30 years ago. And then the chick is apparently pregnant. She doesn't have an incubation period of 27 to 29 years to then pop this kid out.
Wait.
But that's where time is all fucky in this whole thing.
You're talking about Dahlia having Alessa, right? As far as
yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what happened 30 years, but the girl's only like 9 years old. But like we mentioned before, like where's the time is all wonky in this whole thing, you know?
The kid is supposed to be Alessa's, isn't it? Because Alessa is the daughter of Bag Lady.
Yes.
Of Dahlia. Alessa gets raped by that janitor dude.
No, she doesn't. She gets that janitor dude. No, Alessa does not have children. I forgot. I was watching a video. I think that janitor dude is the one that actually turns her in and says, "Oh, she's a witch. Burn her. Tis demon horror."
From my understanding,
it was implied that like she was raped, and the Wikipedia on this movie says that it was implied that she was raped too. Look it up, Roland. I did your research better than you.
From my understanding,
the thing is,
Dahlia has Alessa.
Okay,
but they like the school and everyone they kind of tease her because she's a bastard child, right?
Yes, so then that's her a witch, but then she goes in that bathroom. Yeah. There's that scene with the Colin creepy janitor guy, and it's like, and then they're like in the monologue, it's like, or in the narration, it's like, and you know what happens? The little girls and they're alone or whatever. And the Wikipedia also implies or says it's implied that she's raped or whatever. And I thought that the storyline of this movie was like this little girl had a little girl, and that little girl was was left on the doorstep, but then it was actually a manifestation of herself because of that fucking weird magic bullshit.
Both the dark and...
Or maybe I just came up with a cooler movie. I don't know, but...
Maybe. I'm trying to find that part that you were talking about because I'm a little gray on where the janitor dude comes into this. I actually thought that he was the one that sexed up Dahlia and had
Roland. It's when they have
because Dahlia came in
flashback
to like hug Alessa after the event because after the janitor scene, they show Dahlia embracing Alessa, telling her everything's gonna be okay or whatever, and takes her out of the bathroom. So I think it's janitor rapes Alessa. Alessa somehow gets pregnant, makes magical manifestation of herself that's her good side.
That's after she gets burned, though.
Yeah.
So the baby comes out after the chicken's done.
I don't remember that for some reason, I don't recall like her giving birth after the fact. They were just like spiritual manifestations of her.
Yeah, that's what I understood. That like she essentially projected herself out into the world.
See, and I'm just watching this like weird movie going like, here's, and then with the fucking exposition, I'm led to believe that like, and that would fit with this dark of a fucking tone of a goddamn movie.
Sure.
There you go. After Alessa was raped by the school janitor while attempting to hide from her tormentors, Christabella
immolated during
Alessa.
a ritual, but Dahlia realized what was happening and alerted Gucci. Her arrived late and the ritual went awry, igniting the infamous coal seam fire, hospitalized, arrested Great Juice, and manifested as Dark Alessa. So she was raped, but she did not. It was
she didn't have like an actual.
She get preggers, but somehow like whatever magical stuff was going on, she was able to make a good version of herself.
No, she didn't get preggers. She just got raped.
No. But she was able to like manifest, a version of herself.
Well, two versions of herself: the evil version and the good version.
Because where the fuck are these? Where the fuck did this baby come from? Like.
Those are the manifestations.
They were her, it wasn't a manifestation of her womb. Like
but like her
she's a really powerful psychic. She got
like angrier and angrier, and her hatred, fucked up that one nurse. But did that hatred make a good and a bad? Like,
but she didn't birth them. Like it was like literally something.
I know that, so I'm using the word manifest instead of like.
Then what are you coming on with the baby making? I don't understand.
Because she got raped, asshole.
Yes, but again, like it doesn't say in here.
And there's no other information in this movie to really go like, oh, yeah, okay, like.
No,
and they even show like,
it's explained that she has
taken up a little baby.
It's explained that she has batshit crazy powers, man. Like it's got nothing to do with her having a kid. They do say that when there's that one scene when
we watch different movies.
When Rose, shut your bitch ass. When Rose meets Dark Alessa and she meets Alessa herself, and they do say that when she asks her who is Sharon, and Sharon is her, Alessa is her, we are of her. Like it sort of suggests that they are born from her. But the thing is, the movie doesn't say anything or suggest anything like that. Yes, she's assaulted by this perv-ass janitor. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but the first guy that that Rose meets when she goes into Silent Hill, when she's in the bathroom, that motherfucker with his legs tied up behind his head.
Yeah.
That's him.
Supposed to be the guy with the fucking.
That's the janitor. He
No, he gets calling on his goddamn.
Yeah, on his name tag.
On his name tag. Yeah, no, like that.
That was him.
That tracks. It just
doesn't say anything about like her having a kid, man. Like I mean, not in the literal sense. Maybe in the spiritual sense, Roland, they are her, I guess. I don't know.
Make this more of an issue than it is. It's just based on like what the movie showed me, and I don't know dick about the series.
I don't either. This is like I'm reading the wiki.
This has really nothing to do with the actual game.
I'm reading
itself.
the wiki just as you are, man, and it's not saying anything about her making babies. It just says that she was taken advantage of, and then
she had a kid. What the fuck are you supposed to think, Roland?
Bitch, please. Then why doesn't it say in there Alessa had a birth? Like it doesn't. It's
the
not
stork
in that,
brought
man.
it. Like, come on, man. Like,
yes, the hell stork. Yes, I don't know. Like, I can see where you're coming from there, man. But from what the movie showed me, like I'm not gonna make that jump.
It's a bit confusing between the scenes, the way they cut from this particular scene. She gets raped, and then you have the kid. And again, taking up the fucking
goes
baby
in there and
stuff.
says they are manifestations of herself. Like, I mean, if you wanted to take that metaphorically, you could say, sure, maybe she had twins. I don't know, but like it doesn't necessarily suggest that to me. It just says that this chick has crazy fucking powers and does some.
It was a lot of hate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Super metal and like.
I'm not satisfied with the hate version of this narrative either, because and I can see like why like my version of things is like fucked.
You're going to
still. Why would hatred spurn out a good version? Like, wouldn't you just have the evil bitch running around wrecking shit? You know, like.
Well, maybe because wait, hold on. Maybe there was still good inside of her, even though she had all the hate. So she that good person had to kind of like,
because this is like a Japanese company.
Yes, it is, bitch. I was about to say that. Like, troll all you want, motherfucker. But like, as far as the game series goes, they do have a very heavy emphasis on the balance of duality of nature, the dark and the light bullshit. So. Sure. Way to go, Daniel. You figured it out.
Well, no, based on the information in this movie, it didn't make sense why a good version of Alessa was spurned out into the world when such awful shit was going on. And
I guess just to be so here's a half-assed explanation.
Go for it. I'm really trying to understand.
For the reason that Alessa doesn't kill her mother in the end. When the mother asks
That's
Rose,
a good example.
When the mother asks Rose, why didn't she kill me?
God or whatever.
Yeah. And that is actually a line straight from the game somewhere, I think. I don't know, or some bullshit or another. I forget. But so that was one of the main things that I would tie together in that or rather for an explanation as to why there's the good and the bad side to Alessa's personality, because Alessa wasn't a shitty person. She was made that way when they fucking set her on fire, kind of things. Like she was a child, like what the fuck does she know? And then that hate developed after she, maybe
the good Alessa had to go off into the real world.
Well, that was the whole thing. They wanted to get her away from that life. They were like, oh, this sucks. Like, here's the dark version of me, trying to.
All right. So just real quick. So then how is it that good Alessa got from Shadow or Foglands to real lands?
Because she wasn't dead. Because Foglands is purgatory. And again, these dimensions are overlapping. And
you're making the assumption on purgatory though, right?
No. That's what it's explained. That's what it's explained in the movie. Like how they how they make the distinctions between these areas. It is again like the fog.
I still think you're bringing purgatory out of somewhere else.
No.
Not trying to be combative.
Literally, for the movie, not saying for the game. For the movie, again, the other world is considered hell. The fog world of Silent Hill is considered purgatory. That is it's a transition area between paradise, hell, and reality. And as Silent Hill, the area goes.
And what's the real world? Is that heaven?
No, dumbass.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? It's just
is Sean Bean in heaven because he's already died?
So heaven is not depicted in the movie. It's just assumed that it's there, or rather, you have to make the assumption that it's there.
That's a big assumption. There.
If there's a hell, there's a heaven. Why not?
No.
Why? No.
Why?
And the purgatory so if there's a purgatory and a hell, why can't you necessarily make the assumption that there's a paradise in there somewhere?
Why would you though?
Because of the fucking Christian associations to those goddamn areas.
Are we bringing Christian values and ideals into Silent Hill?
They make a lot of no. They make a lot of those intimations, a lot of those inferences in there that they were they're devout. God-fearing type people or whatever. They believe in good. They believe in good. They believe in good and evil. And I would have to make the assumption if you're going to believe in good that you believe in some form of paradise to represent that, the personification of that.
What if they thought they were in paradise in the Shadowlands?
They didn't
or Foglands?
They didn't though. They thought they were trying to survive and suffering through this.
What if they thought they were angels just fighting demons like they're supposed to as angels?
They were witch burners, so I don't know. So here's the thing that I wanted to get back to as far as that goes, and where I think these guys are still aging, but not quite. That I didn't actually get a chance to go into. So when they originally burn Alessa, yeah, you do see all those people, and the way they're dressed, it's a period time or whatever the fuck when it was in the 70s or 80s. They had very nice clothes and shit.
70s or so.
When they were in modern day. didn't they all look decrepit as fuck? Like they were all just like old and like they're pale skin, like their shitty fucking clothes.
But also like they're in a world where it's ashing down 24/7. So you're gonna be a little dirty.
A little dirty.
The fucking robes and shit. I think it was just part of the cult behavior bullshit. Because even Krista Bella put on that fancy fucking coat towards the end. But she was the only clean one. That distinguished her as like the leader.
She was the only clean one though. Like the rest of them were all dirty as fuck.
I do want to bring something up. Does Officer Gucci know that this other version of fucking Silent Hill exists?
That's what I want to know. Like, what does Gucci know?
What I think was going as far as the cops was, like I mentioned before, was it was a cover up. Like they, and there have been examples of this before where cops report supernatural or unexplained activities. They don't explain it. They can't explain it, and they'll even say that. Just same shit with the fucking government and UAPs.
No, sure, but it seemed that like Gucci knew a lot more was going on because like, there's times where he was telling Sean Bean's like,
that isn't to say that
the things been happening over the last 30 years of this fucking place. To say
that they do not know that something is fucked up. They just don't. They're just unable to explain it. Okay. And so that's why I was thinking that it was like a part of a cover up because they're just like, look, we can't figure out what the fuck is going on. We're just going to keep this on the fucking down low or whatever. But
I mean,
like
I feel he's acting a little too suspicious to just say like, oh, we just don't know what's going on. So let's just leave it alone. Like, I feel like he knows something's going on.
Right. No, they do. But again, like they either cannot do anything about it or it isn't something that they're able to elaborate on. Necessarily. Well, maybe it's a phenomenon that they are aware of.
I'm just saying, like he knows about the other dimension, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. But well, okay, to an extent, maybe. I would say
we're both making assumptions on that because I'm saying
because this isn't explained. It's not explained. We're trying to.
No, I know, but I'm just saying like that's what I'm trying to get at is that there's records that are confidential, and then what I don't like about this part of the movie is that he gives Officer or Mr. Bean, whatever the fuck his name is, generic Bean, whatever.
Great if it was Mr. Bean is that
Christopher, the character,
Silva.
The character,
all of a sudden has his head in a fucking demon thing. Like, whoa!
He gives him the ultimatum, like,
I'll sue.
Just go home and like forget that this ever happened.
Right. Yeah, go to your nice warm bed and let me deal with the last 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So that implies, so that whole thing, that scene, implied that like, Gucci knew what was going on.
But that's where all that
there was.
He had an idea.
But that's where all that ends.
That's what I think.
That's what I don't like about that. Like that ends. Like that doesn't get explained, and then homeboy does. He's like, well, you know, the shower probably sounds pretty good now, so I'm gonna go take a shower instead, and then that's it. Like, there's nothing else explained about that. And I feel like that's probably like one of the weaker points of this movie is that they built up this whole thing.
Because it's like Sean Bean found nothing when he broke into that goddamn records office and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of like went over like the whole backstory to fucking Silent Hill. Like briefly, I mean, again, you want to watch the movie and get your own interpretation of what happened. I mean, be my guest and do that.
Enjoy. Watch a fucking let's play of the goddamn game.
As you should do that. But what I want to talk about is the monsters. So, I want to give you my interpretation of them. Again, I don't know anything about the actual names of the monsters. I want to know the names. They're not like great names or anything, but this is just how my first impression of these monsters. When the Officer Bennett and Rose come across that one on the fence, I called him the Gimp hanging on a fence. All right. What is that character? What is that monster's actual name?
The lying figure.
The lying figure. See, very much sounding more poetic than the Gimp hanging on the fence. The other one, nothing too crazy about this, but the burning children, where she kind of encounters all those little like
fire babies.
That's even better, fire babies.
I think in the game they're called shadow children. I'm not sure.
The second person that encounters not necessarily a monster, but
lava types,
which is the Dahlia, the mother of Alessa. I just called her the Ashy Woman. I just thought she was like really ashy looking. She's very dry. She needs some lotion.
I was about to say like this is a problem of moisturization.
One of the other persons was whenever they were like trying to go back, whenever Officer Bennett handcuffs fucking Rose, and they come across the armless acid leaker.
Oh wait, no, that's the lying figure.
That's the line figure?
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Me.
No.
Like,
mine is. I guess specifically saying the gimp hanging on the fence.
Okay. So no, that's not a character in the games.
Okay,
that's
well,
a fucking miner from that's one of the villagers that's just hung there.
Yeah,
and he's still alive. That's
okay.
Nope. That's just a guy.
That's my interpretation of the gimp.
That's not
a monster. Okay.
That's not
okay.
a thing.
All right.
I
get you now, Ray. All right. Go on.
Yeah.
It just sucks to be him.
Yeah. Now again,
No. Moving on.
I love that scene where he blinks. And I'm like, it's so dumb.
Yeah, he's a fucking gimp. So the armless acid leaker is the lying person.
Yeah, that's the lying figure. Lying as in like lie down.
Now the other ones, they're not necessarily monsters, but they're kind of like involved with the cult. It was the coal miners with pipes.
No, that's not a thing. That's a movie.
That's just a movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the Fallout
other one was
guys. That's what I thought.
Kinky barbed wire dude, the guy in the restroom, which happened to be the janitor.
Also straight to the
barbed wire guy. Nice.
Also straight on the movie. Nothing to do with
nothing to do with the game. Okay. The giant triangle head again. He's also known as pyramid.
Head.
So Roland, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Phyrexians from Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
But I thought of Elish Norn when I fucking saw that shit.
That's cool. I love the Phyrexians.
Here's another one.
The lying figure. I was gonna just mention some of the fun fucked up names to some of the other characters. There's the abstract daddy.
Hold on. Before I want to talk about the movies first.
I know, but this is still this is funny.
Ray, just for your edification, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah,
I love that
I see
card.
that, yeah.
Love that card.
Yeah, Elish Norn's the shit.
The ones that I did enjoy was the big varicose vein titty nurses.
Yeah,
so that's gonna lead into. I'm gonna just spoil my favorite scene in the movie. It was I came up with a couple different fucking names for it. The undead sachet, but since they were nurses, I thought about the COVID slash dance. It was a slash dance, not a flash dance.
Now, the other monsters in this movie, I mean, I just thought they were the cult, the Brethren, as they're called. I just called them the town.
I don't know what the fuck they were called. Called what?
I just called them the town dummies.
Yeah, sure. They're not in the game.
That was it. The town dummies. The witches.
Not in the first.
The cult.
Not in the Team Silent games. I think they're in part 5, which we don't.
I was like, these people are Trump supporters. I'm almost certain of it. But yes, they're just the town dummies to me. So those are like the monsters, the list of monsters that I had in this movie. But yeah, how do you think the ones that are actually in the game, Roland? I'm letting you on this. Kemmer, keep it to a tight. How are they represented in this movie compared to the video games?
Again, like in the bare sense of their, hey, I
visually
recognize
speaking,
that. Exactly.
Visually speaking,
I see that. Oh, well, then good. The CGI for this movie is pretty sharp. I like it. It is on very much on par with the Silent Hill series, which itself is very well designed. The monsters in the game are super unique in the way they look, the way they act, and their inspiration.
I know you say unique, Roland, but I mean, I feel like
I've played a shitload of games, so like that's where I'm coming from for that. That's as far as I can go with it.
Well, I'm just talking about like the figures themselves. I mean, sure, like the pyramid has probably the most unique that I've seen in this movie, but like everything else, as far as like anything that's like all contorted and stuff like that.
Sure.
I feel like I might have seen that in other places as well.
You might have in other movies, possibly.
I'm talking even about toys too. Like you see, like remember like those fucking line of toys? Is it the?
You mean like the Todd McFarlane shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that I don't see that as anything different than what I'm seeing in this fucking movie or a video game for that matter.
The thing is about that is that these came out before those.
Again.
So those were a direct influence to.
But what came out before this? Like what other like you can just take this from like any sort of like
those types of like high definition, high detail figures came out after these.
No. But I'm just talking in general about these characters and how they look necessarily.
Like
the idea, I don't think it's fairly unique for them.
I would say
like,
that
in
the
this game,
unique characters in there were actually the acid dudes.
No, like
I'm just saying,
the lying figure or whatever the fuck they're called, the armless dudes.
It may
not seem that way, but like for when they came out, it was, because it was before everything else. Like literally, that is like these designs came out before the things that you're making these associations from.
But
I don't know, man. We've seen John Carpenter movies,
and they came out around the same time. That's what I'm.
Silent Hill.
Yes, the game, dude. The series.
No.
Inspirations.
I'm talking about the games themselves are taking inspiration from all these other horror-related things. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that the game itself and the characters in there are so unique to this. Like this is where it first showed up, because I don't think it is at all. You may the whole characteristics that they portrayed onto these, like with the whole psychological thing, that may be different.
Sure.
You know, but I mean that's also taken from other.
I think like, is what Ray is really trying to attack. So there's only so much you can do with body horror,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. No. I can understand. I will make that particular concession, but at the same time, what I disagree with is that it wasn't that far later after like these particular.
But didn't Silent Hill drop in like the mid '90s?
Yeah, 99.
It was a PS1 title, right?
Yeah. The first one, it was like 96 or so.
So you still had 8 to 15 years of like John Carpenter shit. Aliens had come out. Like
exactly.
How long was that? About 15, 20 years? Would you say?
Sure, it came out in the 80s, 70s.
So
depending on how you describe that particular length of time with relation to film, with relation to media, if you think that is a long time, then yes. I don't necessarily, because I sort of think that the designs that were like made by Carpenter, made by Stephen King and those were some of the first ones. And it has not necessarily been a long time.
But see, that's the thing. Like, I'm not even giving John Carpenter or any of these other people.
No, Ray's just wondering what makes these creatures actually unique to this series.
Aesthetically, I don't think they're unique, personally.
No. Okay. I can see where you're coming from with that.
Spooky wooky,
but what I would like to say is that it's not that far across when these like particular ideas were introduced. It had not been a long time to where, let's say, like this giant flesh beast or whatever the fuck had originated in the 80s kind of thing, to when like Silent Hill came out, that you could say that this is like a copycat thing. That's what I'm trying to say, is that like this isn't like necessarily a cheap knockoff. That's
no,
what
I'm not saying that.
I know he's not, but that's why I'm like sort of having a bit of issue in arguing that, because I recognize what you're saying, but at the same time, like I also think that these guys were kind of like in a middling period, not like in the fucking 2000s and on to now, where it's like everything's a reboot, everything is like a fucking.
No, but I'm not saying that at all.
No. I just feel that I need to point that out, I guess.
No, sure, but also to be quite fair with the context, because it annoys
me
as well.
that
it's
like most
Resident Evil came out around this time as well.
Yeah, and like
and
there have been a shitload of garbage fucking movies.
Apart from like zombification or zombieifying these kind of models in the game,
I guess the reason
I don't see a whole like a substantial difference apart from just like the context, like demons versus zombies.
That's literally all I'm saying.
You still have dudes spitting acid shit at people. You still have like weird crawling.
You're right. Yeah, like what you said aesthetically.
But I think you're
that's easy enough to.
What I think
admit.
you're failing to see necessarily is that like I said, aesthetically, they're getting inspiration from we have Lovecraft, we have fucking like all these like people like H.R. Geiger, all those kinds of people.
It's all in there. Yeah.
Like that's all wrapped up into all this shit here in Silent Hill as far as the games are concerned. The only thing that I feel like they probably did was put this into a certain context that made it somewhat unique.
Right.
All right. That's all I'm saying.
So,
because like I yes, there are artists, whatever the fuck that means. All right. But
who knows?
Yes, who knows? But I'm not saying like there's nothing special to me about this game as opposed to anything else that's come out around the same time.
Put it very bluntly, like there is no vacuum that these creatures exist in, because you see this in other places, at least to Ray and I's kind of casual interpretation. And I understand that you really dig this series and you know why they're unique. That is a problem that I need to. And so we're trying to ask you as a fan of the game series to be like, how is this unique?
Right.
And not
isn't necessary.
I hope you don't feel like you're being attacked right now.
No.
It's just, I think that we really just want to fucking know, like, what.
That's my problem when I was trying to explain this.
Like, these are unique dudes or whatever.
It is unique in the sense to video games. Outside of that particular context, no, it is not. As far as movie production, media, monsters go, no, it isn't. It is not unique. It has been done before. Again, these guys took their influences from fucking Jacob's Ladder, from fucking David Lynch movies and shit.
Exactly, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Is like some of these kind of characters you can see in fucking the fucking David Lynch movie, Eraserhead and shit like that. Like,
dude.
That's exactly. So as far as if they're taking it from film, again, there's not 99. That's still like video games are still like really breaking ground here.
No, they're not.
Are you sure?
No,
like as far as like
they're established.
No, but I mean like as far as
Mario
like
fucking
effects,
established games.
like effects and like like sharper quality, like more detailed characters and worlds and stuff like that.
Within the context of video games, yes. Without, no.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. Is that it may be unique to video games, but it's not necessarily this whole world that's been built is not unique to someone who has been like immersed in horror most of his life. So I see a video game like this and I'm just like, like whatever.
You could read any Clive Barker book. I mean, you could read the Hellbound Heart. You could read any horror genre fiction, and you will see that
get
in
this sense of
So like for instance,
as far as within the sense, this is unique.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I say this to you or you guys bring up certain like premises for like video games, and you say, "Oh, Ray, you'll like this because it's like this." That to me, if you're already comparing it to something else, I'm just like, well, I'm not interested. I go, tell me something that I've never seen before. No. And maybe I'll fucking play it.
Jesus Christ. Like
yeah.
And actually, that's funny because earlier I was talking to Roland about some games.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'd rather just watch the fucking movie then. That's just me.
Where I think you would like them. Part of it, like, yes, there's like the horror kind of like neat elements to it, but also these are investigative games where you're in a world and you're just trying to figure out like, how the fuck do I get out of this room? Or what is different about this situation? So that's engaging more of like your brain. Like, and then going like, oh, cool, this is also like horror related.
But the thing about that is, and I mean, I don't mean to knock anything y'all doing because you already know that I don't play video games.
No,
I just don't care. I just don't care.
It's fine. Like, it's so like I don't think in terms of talking to you about something that. All right, Ray, like you've never seen this before. You'll love it. Like it's more along the lines of again.
Exactly. You have kind of some kind of comparative thing to tell me about the game.
This is a story that like parallels.
But actually, Ray, that's an unfair argument to make because like what hasn't been done.
Exactly.
The humble purist strikes.
But this is what I'm
for us to say you might like this is to compare it to some shit that you
but like you've seen it before. So. In the same way how you'd bitch at me about when I would guess the plot of something that as we're watching it kind of thing, like it's because I've seen it before.
No, but I'm just telling you guys, like for me,
your preference, yes.
For me personally, I don't feel it doesn't interest me to invest some sort of time into playing a video game that actually is going to take time.
No, absolutely
to doing
not.
These kinds of things. Like it just doesn't interest me.
So like when I talk to you about any of these, I think in terms of watching, not sitting there and like, look, Ray, this is your turn. Go and do this.
No,
like,
but see, that's the other thing.
Because like watching, I know you're not into that.
Watching also, it's sort of painful for me in a way because I'm watching you trying to figure out like, oh, I'm gonna find this and do this and this and that, and I'm just like, move the fucking story along already. That's just my thing.
That's really funny because I get like that watching other people play. Like I'm just like, I already know what the fuck is gonna happen. Just go. You have a
sense of impatience, and so do I too. I'll admit it.
You're a shitty gamer. You suck. Like,
see, I already know I suck at video games, so that's
so no. Like, I don't think in those particular terms. I again, like, to me, games are movies you interact with. Like they're like you have control in that particular narrative to an extent. But to push it along.
You know how you
like you're in charge of the pace.
But you know how you say you have like you're impatient in certain type of aspects and stuff.
Surprise.
To me, give me an hour and a half, 2 hours to watch a movie. Let the story move along, and I'm gone. So like, right? I can't sit there and try to immerse myself in this world.
But Ray, what if I told you there's games that have less than 2 hour playthroughs?
They track along those exact lines.
But again, video games, the format
they track
itself
along
doesn't like the media doesn't interest me. It never has. Mm-hmm. Ever since I was a kid, it never had. I mean,
I remember this. You were traumatized, Ray, because
this is the age of 13.
Well, no. What was that NES game or whatever the hell you were playing, and like you fucking threw the controller at the screen or some shit? Like you just
must have been Double Dragon. That game's a bitch.
I say that as a joke.
I can't do this.
I say that as a joke, but like, I mean, I never really gave it much of an effort either.
Sure.
You know, so I mean. It is what it is.
So, I mean, like, we can make a case to argue any specific thing that you have an issue with. But if you can boil it down.
What?
Well, like, so, like, what he's talking
Where is
about.
This coming from?
What he's talking about specifically, like, he doesn't want to sit through a game, play through a game that takes forever and a half, and it's like, oh no, you can beat this in 30 minutes. Well, I don't want to sit there and like watch you figure this the fuck out when I know how it's gonna end, kind of thing. Well, yes, okay, you know what, fine. Like, if you know, then say something, bitch. Why do you have to keep that shit to yourself? Like, what? You're supposed to help me. We're friends. What?
It's because I'm a nice and kind person.
Right? You just want to spoil it. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for you.
I want you to enjoy it.
So considerate.
Yeah, you enjoy it. So I can be on my phone.
It just
breaks down.
I don't need attention. I can just keep to myself. I'm fine.
Or shit. So again, like it just breaks down to the fact that. It's not in your wheelhouse.
That statement is funny, Ray, because you started a podcast with us. Like, I don't need attention.
Well, I mean, let me say this.
Internet famous.
Like, it has nothing to do with attention. It has to do with being creative and doing something with my friends.
Ha.
There it is.
That is fair. That's fair. Oh, look at you. The power of friendship wins after all.
Yeah. That I do it alone, too. So, I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah, no, it just boils down to that, like, it's not your bag to sit through and play games.
It's just not my. It's not necessarily.
My interest, It's not necessarily that like the story is not interesting or like there's some,
see, I'm not saying that at all. It's just when it comes to the media of video games,
we can all agree that Roland was wrong.
Bitch.
No, about.
Oh, okay. Please explain this.
Apart from the fact that, like, in video games, perhaps the approach of Silent Hill was unique, but in overall,
like in the sense of
movies,
right?
Books,
in the sense of
comics,
of mass media,
like,
right? It's not. It takes a lot of influences from fairly established genres, fairly established things.
The one thing, going back to the movie, there's one thing I do want to bring up that I did enjoy, that I feel like if it is a part of the video game, I will give some much more respect to that as well, is that the sound design.
Yes.
The soundtrack was
fantastic.
I thought it was really good. And it's funny is that like within the first few minutes of this movie,
emblematic of the Silent Hill series.
I noticed that because I was listening to it on my headphones, and I wanted to see who was the sound designer for this movie. And then I realized, as I read along, that it was the same guy who does the sound design for the video game. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, that's pretty fucking awesome. That's pretty fucking awesome.
You mentioned that earlier, but it was something I didn't realize when I was watching I didn't really pay attention. I didn't like wiki the game, which is, I usually do that bullshit. But
but see, I was doing that as I was watching the movie. Like if I found something interesting, I was like I had my own screen going.
I think that one thing that stopped me was that Roland had mentioned to me that, you know, like the series is like pretty dense game wise.
Yeah.
As far as the lore and stuff that they develop, yada, yada, yada. So I think that made me go, let's keep the games in a vacuum and just watch this movie in a vacuum. Because I think I may have been like,
that's fair,
a little bit dismayed with the movie product if I read the
you haven't even seen the sequel
of the Silent Hill series and go,
so
oh shit,
bad.
oh shit, and then none of that came out in the fucking movie. I would have probably had a way less satisfactory experience.
Yeah, you want to talk about a fucking like garbage goddamn situation? Watch the sequel, and I haven't even seen all of it. It's just that bad, like sort of thing. It's like, why? What did you? And they have almost arguably even better talent than the first movie does. If I'm not mistaken, Carrie-Anne Moss is in the sequel. So is the guy that plays
Sean Bean's in it again, and apparently he dies in that movie.
So is
spoilers.
The character. Yeah,
but he's not the same character.
Sorry, we ruined it for you.
I didn't want
He plays a character called
about
Harry.
me. I wanted to see it.
Oh, fuck off. Eat shit and die. The guy from Game of Thrones is one of the main characters in there as well.
Shit.
Yeah.
Jon Snow.
Yeah, him. It's so bad.
Fucking Kit, whatever
so
the fuck his
bad.
name is.
I don't really give a fuck about Game of Thrones anyways.
It's so it's trash. And like I think he puts out an American accent. I'm not sure. I don't know. I was surprised. Like I had to see this in like a shit video on YouTube or whatever, saying, you know, like, oh yeah, he's in here, because I couldn't even get that far. Like again, I saw clips of this and then I was like, oh yeah, he's in there. Ooh, this is not good. Like,
all right, so unfortunately, Daniel had to drop off this last portion of the episode.
We'll try and throw some clips in later,
but maybe he can give us his rating later. But
we'll see.
Before we do that, we're gonna go over our favorite scenes in this movie.
You first,
and,
right?
I mean, I do have a few, and primarily my favorite scenes are when the violence really starts happening. You know, big triangle head man rips off the skin of one of the persons. I keep forgetting her name.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
But then he throws a skin and like it splatters.
One
all over
clean
the place.
piece.
Yes, like one clean piece. It's clothes, skin, toss.
I really think that was one of like a very unique scene. I fucking loved it. I mean, like as far as horror goes, like I was pleasantly surprised when I saw that. That is also one of my favorite scenes. Yeah. And I like, again, like I'm sitting there with a stupid ass grin on my face.
But realistically,
kind of like,
why wouldn't it be anyone's favorite, one of their favorite scenes? Because it's just it kind of just comes out of nowhere, sort of.
Absolutely.
Because we haven't seen too much like actual physical gore up
at this point. A lot of it is just sort of like chase scenes and like just like try to survive, stay the fuck away. And this is one of those oh fuck moments
with like really deformed type of monsters and stuff.
Yeah, where like
characters.
Here's a chance for some real violence.
Right.
And they do not disappoint. Like,
right. And shit. I feel like it just gets, it escalates even more towards the end. Another favorite scene.
What did you think? And I know it's not a favorite scene necessarily, but what did you think about how the Officer Sybil is killed?
Oh, she's burned and shit. That's pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah,
it was really slow too.
Yeah, exactly.
It was really fucking slow.
I thought, I was like, holy shit, they slow cooked her.
Yeah, I was gonna say they fucking just they slow roasted her ass.
They just used the indirect fire and just fucking slowly.
Yeah,
cooked
I was
her.
just like, well, that sucks.
Damn, like I was not expecting that when I saw that, and I was just like, oh, her skin's peeling. Oh, yeah, yep, she's dead. And then poof, she just bursts into flame. I'm like, oh, I mean, like she was so hot, but god damn, like they really strung out that
yeah, they did,
that kill cam.
Well, just after that, that's when like
again
it gets even crazy more.
Yeah,
more
exactly. This is like
that.
the movie again. Like it has a lot of like it has a slow build. You know, it's like a lot of jump scare, sort of long moments where you can see just like the horror elements of things. You know, like when Rose walks through all the nurses or whatever, like slowly, like trying to stab her and those kinds of things. But like this, I feel at that point was when the movie just like ramped up. Like it had a really good climax, I think. As far as a lot of horror movies go,
like the deaths and the violence, I mean,
it reached a point where it's like, all right, kill. Like it just fucking like keeps topping itself.
I did for some reason have some sort of slight sympathy for those followers because I feel like they didn't really know what they were getting into.
Right, but they're sheep and they deserved it. That's what they get.
Let them get slaughtered. That's fine. That's fine.
Make some lamb chops.
Yeah, we did mention earlier about like the scene with the "Keep Me Pure" thing, and then
that
exactly. Was fucking cool.
That was please God keep me pure. Boom. That was seeing this in theaters was that particular scene in theaters was such an experience to me. Like I absolutely loved it. That was one of the best parts that I remember about being in a theater, just where I was just like, what is going on? Oh wow, this is amazing. Like it was
I wish I had that experience, but I didn't.
It was good shit. Yeah.
Let me see. Was there any other scenes that I can think of? As far as the monsters are concerned, I mean, like, I did enjoy the way they looked.
Yeah.
Wasn't really I guess it was some practical effects in there.
It was a mix. Yeah.
It was a mix. Like the burning kids. I thought that was a little. No. I feel like they could have done a lot better with that. Like.
Yeah. That was all straight out CG. Sure.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure
compared to the.
I'm pretty sure they got some like contortionist people to like be in this movie, like so like, especially like the kinky janitor bathroom dude.
Yeah, with the head, his legs tied up.
I started laughing when he's like throwing out the tongue, like.
Yeah, it was fucking great.
I was like, I saw him. He's still horny. God damn.
I saw him, and I was like, hey, it's the Wishmaster guy. Wish my lord would go fuck himself. Wish granted. Like it's so fucking silly. I did like a lot of the creature designs, the horror scenes in this movie, but again, like with few exceptions, of course being when Pyramid Head rips this chick's skin off, when Alessa splits this lady in half with razor wire. For the most part, like they do not do the game series justice. The game series designs are much more grotesque, much more intricate or ornate.
You know what's funny that you say that is that
even the shittiest of the Silent Hill games
what I'm going to say is that like there's probably more rules in the cinematic world regarding some of the grotesque shit that they would have to do, you know, like even like Mortal Kombat, you know, like Mortal Kombat more gruesome, allegedly than the movie.
Maybe more violent.
More violent, sure.
Yeah,
but there's a lot more blood and stuff like that. You know, I'm not saying you know it's not real, but
with them that's also the gimmick, right? Like that's what Mortal Kombat is, you know, watched for, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you could say the same thing for Silent Hill. Like a lot of the appeal has to do with like all the grotesque monsters, the violence, and
the body
like
horror is what.
But I mean, the digital version of those and the live action version of those, even though there are technically CGI most of the time, there's like limits to what can be shown in a certain quote unquote live action movie. Sure,
absolutely.
So, this is a tamer version of what the game portrays.
That is one of the reasons why I again view a lot of the Silent Hill games as interactive movies, is because they're very cinematic. You have a modicum of control on how these scenes play out, but at the same time, they are way the fuck past what you can expect to see, in theaters. Like they don't necessarily have the same rules. There are rules. Like they can't. Well, as bad shit as these fools get. Like
you kind of still think of like the many types of movies that have body horror and like the limits that they pass.
Yeah, and they still really push that shit.
Yeah. And I mean, I personally go back to Society where there's like just an immense amount of body horror in the climax of that fucking movie. Mm-hmm. And if I'm pretty sure you haven't seen it, but I mean, you should check it out.
I've heard of that. Is that foreign film?
No, it's not a foreign film at all.
Okay, maybe
I don't remember who made it, but I know Arrow put out a DVD or a Blu-ray version of it. But that movie is like almost I guess in the horror sense is like the epitome of body horror because it's not just like it's grotesque, but it's humorous too, you know, and it does it really well. And it's just also an 80s cheese horror movie. So it has a lot of those cheesy 80s elements, body horror, and the comedy aspect to it as well.
There are a few movies that I can think of, and I don't remember some of the names, that like really just far above and beyond what Silent Hill does as far as, the expectations of body horror and what you would
But as far as Silent Hill is concerned, it's more of in a serious tone.
It's more of a psychological thing.
Yeah, so it gives it more...
the gravitas.
Sure. Yeah.
It really does. Like it has more weight to the narrative because again, like it's silent. It's not about Silent Hill. It's about the main characters and how they experience their
but
their journey through it.
There's no humor in it at all, or there's not meant to be humor in that.
No.
That's that whole game.
I mean, you can maybe find it. Like
if you're a psychopath, sociopath. You can find the humor in stuff like that. Sure, why not? A little bit. I mean, again, there's a fucking contorted body coming at this chick, and I'm over here laughing because he's sticking his tongue out because it's funny.
That's not even. Yes, no. The Silent Hill game has plenty of those, and they are way more wonky, and you will laugh, but at the same time, it's like the movie.
Can I ask you a question? When was the last time you played like the original Silent Hill?
The original, dude. Oh fuck. Oh. Came out in 99. I would have to probably say 2003 or 4.
Do you think it would still hold up?
Yeah.
Graphics wise?
No. Not graphics. Absolutely not. But
sure, storyline probably.
Storyline and like the way again in that the narrative, the characters, the perspective, the camera view. The camera view of one of those things of the original Silent Hill is very, very fucking cool. Like no matter how shitty the graphics are necessarily, in how they handle things. There's a really cool alley scene where you're running through, like you're coming from an area, but the camera view is here in the corner and it follows you. You're running through and you see the cameras zoom in and it just pans in with you as you run along. And it's a really cool shot. Like those are not things that have been replicated particularly successfully in a lot of any other games. Graphically, no, absolutely not. It looks like it looks goofy sort of thing. With context though, it is still great. Knowing that you're fighting Incubus or whatever, like the aborted Samael, a final boss or whatever the hell, and deciding whether the incubator, which is the original form of their god, is going to give you the good version of your reincarnated child, or the everything, or if she's just going to burn with the child or whatever, and you escape without it, kind of thing. Like it's an interesting. It's still an interesting dynamic, narratively.
One more part of this movie that I did like was the transitions between the foggy world to the hellscape world.
Otherworld.
Things melt away, and then when it goes back,
So, here's the thing.
I feel
it's a cool effect.
It's a cool effect. It could have done better as the graphic-wise, I'm saying.
That particular effect...
That has nothing to do with the game, though, does it?
No. It is only introduced in Silent Hill Homecoming, which is the game that came out, I believe, after the movie. That whole like melting, peeling effect.
Did they take that from the movie?
Yes.
Okay.
That is something that was used. So in the first 4 games.
4 games.
You go through a door and you're there.
Okay.
Like there's no transition. You blink and you're fucked.
How do you feel about the fact that they take that aspect into the game?
I like it, but it's also just like it's unnecessary. I prefer the original in that like
just jumping into the world.
Exactly. There's no pretense. There's no prepping. Like you're just everything's normal, and all of a sudden like you're fucked, kind of thing. Okay. And I love that. When I was a kid playing this shit, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Wow. Like it really is. It's a really cool. It's a very cool transition. It's just very stark, very cut and dry. Boom, flip the switch, you're in hell. Don't get me wrong, I liked it in the movie. I liked it in the later game that they use this.
But it's not necessary.
Absolutely not. And like it also just kind of softens the the shock factor. Right. It sort of softens it. Like the transition's not necessary. Again, this is a cool thing to see, but like it's like, why are you guys wasting time like designing this sort of thing?
Anything else you want to add about this movie?
Like you basically covered all of my favorite scenes. In the end, when this fucking ridiculous barbed wire figure comes out, and she just demolishes everyone. So, what did you think about the end, where Sean Bean sits in front of his wife, who sits in the parallel dimension from across each other? So, I have a qualm about a lot of Japanese video games where they love doing this shit. It's a bittersweet ending where it's like, oh, everyone sort of survives in the end, but they're not quite happy. Like there's still like some dissonance. Do you think it was appropriate? Do you think it was like a fairly decent end to a horror, in that you weren't going to be like, oh, it's all happily ever after, or, they escaped.
Well, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before in most movies, but especially when it does come to horror, I prefer the not happy ending. And I get this primarily from my love of Lovecraft and the fact that none of his stories have happy endings.
Sure.
And I mean, it lends itself more to like a realistic feel because, in life, there's not always a happy ending.
And like I was telling Daniel, I hadn't made this realization until I watched this last time, but Rose dies. Like she gets fucking stabbed.
I didn't really get that. I just saw her as like being trapped in this particular world.
And the reason is because she's no longer alive. Well, and this world is where you find the dead.
My interpretation of that was that the bad Alyssa and the good Alyssa merged. So like she still lives in that world. So there's never a point where they can get out. Like, since they're together.
Oh.
Like, that's why, like, whenever they drove out of Silent Hill and the road appears, like, they're still going to be in that version of the world no matter what, because she merged with that character.
Here's my argument to that. The bad Alyssa is able to manifest in reality, which is why she's able to bring the good Alyssa, baby Alyssa, into that foster home.
But does she want to leave that world? That's the other thing.
I mean, okay, that's thinking a little further into it. That I would expect, because
she's still bad.
She is, but the thing is, in that the other issue to consider is that she is a part of Alyssa.
Yeah,
like Alyssa's
a part of Sharon now.
Right,
Sharon is a part of Alyssa.
So I'm talking about the original Alyssa, which herself is made up of a duality of personalities. She has the good and the evil. And so together they make a person. And so when she merges with Sharon, they become what is essentially what Alyssa was meant to be.
Right.
She's back again as a child, able to live her life as a normal person, with love and hate or whatever the fuck,
But I mean, she also does have like the mentality that she's been in this whole world that she's manifested already. So, and she was always calling Sharon back into this world, right?
You're talking about bad Alyssa. Here's the argument I would have.
It is bad Alyssa, but it's also the actual Alyssa,
right,
who's in that world. So she was trying to call her back. So like now that she's there with her and they've merged, why would they leave? Why does she want to leave?
I would argue that
I thought it was mainly by choice.
To leave?
To not leave.
Well, okay. So what I would sort of argue to that is that what old Alyssa wanted is a normal life. She just wanted to be a child.
But she's technically having that. She's still in that world technically, but she still has the mother. Now, like you say, maybe since the mother died, and she's still there, she still has that attachment to that mother. So she's not going to leave that world.
The mother's not dead. The mother is stuck, like basically just dragged into purgatory.
But that's what I'm saying. There. That's what I'm saying. But you're saying she died though.
Wait, who died?
The mother.
No. I never. If I said that, I misunderstood.
No.
The mother was never killed. Dahlia, right?
No.
Oh no,
not
excuse
that
me.
mother.
Rose.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Dahlia was never dead. Like got killed.
I am saying that in the sense of that Rose was stabbed in the chest.
Yeah.
And when that healed,
she's
it was within the transition of the other world.
Okay.
So they can exist within the other world and the purgatory because those two realms are for their transitional areas between the dead and the middle ground, but not between reality.
But she can technically manifest that into reality, though, can't she?
In a sense, if you're talking about how Sean Bean smells her perfume,
yeah.
But that's a memory to me. Like that's like a suggestion of remnants, not necessarily a straight existence kind of thing.
Okay, well.
So, which is why again these realms are they're parallel, but again like the fog realm, the fog silent is a transitional area for the dead and for the living between the other world and between reality. They can cross through that area, but unless they're alive, kind of thing, they can't go into reality. However, if they're in the other world and they're alive, they can go into reality and they can see the other world kind of thing. They can still die. Like it's weird and it's fucky as fuck. We're trying to make sense of a goddamn vague ass explanation to this movie.
But that's the thing is that
to the best of our shit ass abilities.
They left the ending very, again, which I do like. They left it somewhat ambiguous because like you have to like. It's again.
It takes thought, yeah. Like to try to like
takes thoughts, but like you can decide.
You have to logic this at best,
but you can give your own interpretation as to what is going on in this particular ending. I mean, you can say
if you can make some sense of it.
You can take it as face value and like she's stuck there, but there's also the why as to why she's stuck there. But did she die in the other place? Did she?
So
was she killed? You know what I mean? Like,
you know what? Like you're absolutely right. Like within my own particular idea, that's how I'm rationalizing it. And this is only again something that I came to when I watched it this last time. This is a movie I fucking love and I've watched a fucking fuck ton load. Because I didn't think it was a bad movie at all. Like this is it's not one of my favorites. Again, this is I'd go for fucking Hellraiser anything out of this without thought.
Well,
but again,
not past 3, really.
No. We're not talking about Hellworld or Hellseeker.
Remember that new one we saw?
Where they use a complete different guy. He's got like big old fucking bug eyes.
No. We didn't see the baby one. I'm talking about the one that was recent, but that was still pretty bad though. And we thought it was gonna be good too.
So, what I mean in the context of video game movies, and in subcontext to that, horror movies. I have 2 metrics to judge this by: the description of it being as like a game interpretation, and then the description of it between of it being of the horror genre,
yeah.
And I am satisfied with both, not the sequel.
Which I do personally want to see. So, and I'll waste my time fucking doing that.
We will waste time with that. So like the reason I was asking about the ending is because I am not a fan. This is it's basically a stereotype of Japanese, not necessarily horror. Well, yes, horror, but a lot of their storytelling. They don't. A lot of the games that a lot of the movies even that they go in for, it's not the fucking like they don't go for happy or sad fucking endings.
Are you telling me that the Japanese don't know how to end their movies?
No, they go for the poetic ending where it's like, it's a little bit of good, a little bit of bad.
It's not far-reaching kind of thing.
No, like it's pretentious. That's where I'm gonna go for with that shit.
Finally.
That's what I'm gonna go for with that shit. It's so fucking annoying that they have to use the balances of perspective, of existence. Yeah. It annoys me. To me, it's a trope.
I don't mind it because I don't see it.
No, you don't. And like that's why I'm mentioning this.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I asked you, because I wanted to know what you thought of that particular eventuality or whatever for this. And I wanted to mention that, yes, they do this a lot. It annoys the living fuck out of me because I am a bit more cut and dry. I was like, okay, good ending or bad ending. And I'm fine with either. Like, I would prefer the bad ending for the most part.
You just don't like that.
It's more amusing. I don't like that middle ground shit, you know? Like, because,
I don't mind it,
because
yeah.
again, it's artsy fartsy to me. I'm just like, oh, fuck you. Come on. They're fucked or they're not. Like, get out of here with this half-ass bullshit.
Well, there you go, Roland. I mean, like, you're accepting the artistic value of the video game, but not the artistic value of the movie.
Oh, no. Okay, so I see where you're going with that, but the games do not have that necessarily, or rather, the Silent Hill series does not, because they have multiple endings.
Yes.
You have a good, you have a bad, you have like a neutralish.
But would you say that technically this has multiple endings depending on your own interpretation?
Well, sure. What doesn't, or what wouldn't, rather? Oh, now that's a bullshit argument. Like, I'm talking about what actually happened here, not the fucking possibilities of this silliness.
But there's only possibilities. I mean, unless you're gonna watch part 2. If you leave this and not watch part 2, technically this has
this motherfucker.
Technically this has various numerous types of endings.
And this is how you argue this.
It's possible.
No, it's not how it ends and how the sequel follows.
Because you're saying like it could be a happy ending, could be a sad ending.
It could be bittersweet. What?
There you go.
What? It's not could be. We're talking about the movie, not the game, bitch.
I am talking about the movie.
Well, then, like, what?
But you're talking about the interpretation of like what actually happened to get them to that point in the ending, because depending on either your interpretation or mine, there could be either some sort of goodness that which leaves it to possibilities, or there's no way, and that makes it bad. And in that case, whatever happened at a certain point in this movie to get them to this point, there's either a hopefulness that could happen, or it just ends entirely.
So, all right, I see what you're saying there. You're suggesting that in how the movie ends, that what the fuck is the guy's name? Chris Da Silva. Sean Bean's fucking character, and Rose and Sharon are separated by these parallel dimensions. You don't necessarily know, but you leave the chance out that, yes, they are separated in that ending, but that isn't to say that is always going to be so.
Yeah.
Like, it's left to be ambiguous, excuse me.
Yes, because I mean, if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking in terms of a happy ending, maybe.
Okay, yes. I will say that my my opinion, or rather my belief, is pre-informed, knowing the bits from the sequel.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's also informed by how my bias goes with that particular genre, with the Japanese horror design. Okay. Sort of thing. Like, I've seen that before, and I know how it's going to end because they love that shit, and it annoys the fuck out of me. However, not knowing that, sure, I do like that. I do like that it is left to the imagination.
Right.
That is cool. Of itself, no, I absolutely love that. But
if you're gonna take into account, if you watch part 2, it could have completely fucked that completely.
Well, okay. So I meant that there's two things.
I'd rather not talk about part 2. Though.
No. I meant in that there's two explanations to that. In the negative, in that I've seen the sequel.
Yeah,
that's one. But also in that
you're familiar with
I'm particular with that. Yeah,
narrations and how
exactly.
They end things.
Like, I'm particular with that particular type, that specific sort of storytelling that they use and they love, where it's not all happy, but it's not the worst kind of thing, because Rose and Sharon are still together, even though they're separate from Sean Bean necessarily. Like, yeah. So knowing that, like, yes, it does annoy me. If I did not have that assumption to make, I would consider it great. Pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's I was going to say unorthodox, but that's not the exact. It's
No,
uncommon.
I
It's
wouldn't
uncommon.
say that. It's uncommon in like in this case like American cinema,
Yes.
if you will.
Right.
Again, I could be completely wrong. We could be completely wrong on this. Anyone who has any thoughts on Silent Hill, please
Come at me.
Leave the comment below. Tell us what you think happened, or in fact, if maybe one of us are correct. I don't really know.
Couldn't give a shit. Have fun.
Embrace the audience. Let them know that you're willing to accept whatever they say.
I'm not.
Or not. But encourage them.
But I
encourage them.
I approve of the discourse as the muse of MoQuest.
Yes, you encourage. Shut the fuck up. Roland does encourage you to leave comments below to tell us what you think. And I mean, it could be wrong, it could be right. It really doesn't matter. So
there's no way you can say throw some facts at me. Maybe that'll work. Probably not, because
but
again,
hold on. You're under the assumption that you're right. So let's be real.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna go with that.
You're a fucking idiot.
I'm gonna go with that. Fuck off.
So before we sign off, we gotta give our ratings. Now, quickly, Roland, 1 out of 5. As our standard Cinekuest, but since technically this is a horror movie, we'll blend it together and you want to hail it or bury it. So give me a number first, and then you're going to hail it or bury it. So I mean, I think the number would assume what you're going to do for that.
I'll give this a 4.3. 4.3 bubblehead titty nurses.
Varicose vein titty nurses.
Still great.
So I assume you're going to hail the movie then?
Yes, I will.
For final viewing.
As a game, absolutely. As a game movie, excuse me.
Okay.
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-tively.
I will say that I'm going to give this movie, visually speaking,
oh, Christ.
I'll give it a 3.5. Is this a bad movie? No. Is it a very good movie? Not really, no. But it was enjoyable. The sound design is really good, and that alone, if you can have experienced that in either good sound system or some headphones,
good aspect.
I think it really helps the actual movie itself. If you have a better TV or better quality version of this movie, that also might help, because the graphics would look obviously a lot better than the way I saw it. But I was overlooking that because I assumed that they were pretty good at the time. I do like a lot of the actors in this movie, and I like a lot of the kills, which also gives me a 3.5 rating, but not near of a not for a 4. I don't think.
Keep it simple, bitch. God damn it.
Oh, shut up, fucking rambler ass motherfucker.
Where the fuck? Yeah, exactly. You give me shit. Oh my god.
Well, you've been talking so much. Goddamn.
Somebody has to.
And I'm glad I have control of all that, though.
Oh, bitch. For now.
For always.
Fuck off.
I am your god.
Are you incubus?
Whatever. That's a lame ass fucking.
It is.
The Chusa.
Oh, get fucked.
So that'll be it for us. Hopefully we can get Daniel on, but we're gonna sign off now with this movie, Silent Hill. Long discussion. If you sat through or listened to, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Again, if you are listening to this on any of those platforms, follow us there too. If you haven't already, tell your friends if they like Silent Hill. Get into the discussion also. We'd like to hear other voices.
Come at us, nerds.
Any opinions? Like, you're the fucking nerd, man. You're the fucking nerd on this one.
That's right. Fight me.
Nerds can't fight.
How's it go?
Yeah, that's your defense right there. Many years of watching fucking video games. You know, like,
this is how I protect myself.
This is what I imagine. Like, if it's a fucking video game nerd, I mean, I don't mean they're like
Yes, he does.
degrade any video game nerd. You're a nerd, whatever the fuck.
does.
I mean, I'm a nerd in some other senses too, but like not video games.
He's what we call a bitch nerd.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Man. I imagine a video game nerd, if they're going to fight, they're just going to go like fucking going.
What?
They're going to start hitting someone like this.
I'm pushing the buttons right.
Yeah, they're going to go like this.
I'm going to do the combo. What the fuck are you doing?
You're going to think that they're just fucking reaching for nips or some shit. I don't know.
Stop playing with them titties.
But that'll be it for us. We'll see you on the next Cinekuest, which will be the final video game movie that we do. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
I'll make sure Roland doesn't drink too much. He doesn't get so angry with those finger gestures. But anyways, that'll be it for us.
Peace.